Welcome to the 449th episode of the Random Podcast from Heck. My name is Tony, and this is the podcast about random things in the world of entertainment, which includes movies, TV shows, and comic books. Big shout out to Andrew Loken. He is a big, awesome supporter of the show. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the secret podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30-ish minutes of extra podcast entertainment every single week. I've been doing some DC Comics Silver Age, the weird wacky, basically it's like the weird Superman or Batman, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen comics, the weird covers, and it's just like, what the heck is going on? How could they actually put out a comic with this weird thing? It's like, did they even put out regular comics back then? I think they did, but there's a lot of weird ones. So you just look back, find out what's going on there. And sometimes I do like the off my mind random topics about something. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck, and you can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or 4. That's ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. All right, what do we have this week? This week's movie feature is, what's it called? Super Mario Galaxy Movie, right? There's no brothers in there. The brothers are in there. There's no brothers in the title, because I've been calling it Super Mario Brothers Galaxy, but it's movie. And I think they put the movie on there just so you know it's not the game and all that. So you can hear about that. I wasn't a super fan of the first movie, and who doesn't love the Super Mario Brothers franchise? I mean, they're such great characters, so many glorious characters. That's like the graphics, the visuals, the worlds, all the critters, the Koopa Troopers, the Hammer Brothers, like everyone. There's like such cool designs, and it's just so bright and vibrant and varied. And we got these movies. It's like it's all there. It should be so easy, right? Make a really cool movie. So you can hear about that. And I did see it in a Screen X theater. So, but I was kind of, part of me, it's like, because the theater that had the Screen X, they also had like regular showings. They had 3D showings, and I was like, oh man, I like the 3D versions. But I went with the Screen X, so you can hear about that. We also have, so we're still in the lull. I don't know, this next week's going to be kind of tricky with TV shows. We'll see about that. So we got more Daredevil Born Again and Monarch Legacy of Monsters, plus the comics and the news. But speaking of Daredevil, just for a second, moments before, like a few minutes before I was going to record this, I was actually finishing up Daredevil, because I started it and then I had to finish the end. And then at the end of the credits, it's like, Disney Plus is like, watch the next episode. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, it's not Tuesday yet. And then I look and it's like, why? Why did they drop? I don't understand. Why did they drop 2 episodes the second week? They're doing 1 episode per week. The first week they did 1. Second week they're doing 2. The third week they're doing 1 again. So that being said, I'm only talking about episode 2 this week, and I'm not prepared to do 2. I'm not prepared to do episode 2 and 3 this week. I don't know about next week. We'll see. Because like now I'm behind. Oh, what are you doing? I don't know what's going on. So we'll see. And next week we got more. We'll talk about that at the end, like what's coming up and all that. So with the news, speaking of shows coming out, so this week, was it Tuesday, I think? Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, starts up on Disney Plus, but it's been renewed for season 2 already, before the first season has even started. So it's like, okay, so they must have things that they want to tell. They must be excited. Maybe things are looking good. I don't know, but okay. And they're doing the 2 episodes per week. So that's going to be tricky for me, but that's my problem. Oh man, I just realized I made a note to myself. There's a new Mummy. There's a new trailer for The Mummy. I didn't watch it because I totally forgot about that. So that's Oh man, when's that coming out? It's not April 17th. I don't know why I have that. No, it can't be April 17th. I don't think it's April 17th. Maybe it is, but I'm not seeing that. Or no, I am going to see that, but I didn't watch the trailer, so we'll have to see about that. So if you, and it's kind of getting to this point, and I've said this before. I don't need to see a bunch of trailers. For sure, I kind of need that first trailer to get an idea. It's like, okay, how cool is this going to be? Give me the teaser trailer. I'm always hesitant when it's like, okay, I got to watch this. I want to watch this trailer. What is this about? And it's like one of those 2-minute trailers. And it's like when they do the 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, it's like, what, man, you are going to condense the entire movie into like 2.5 minutes and show so much. And maybe you won't show like the final, but they show so much in these trailers. I don't understand why do you do that. So the first trailer for The Mummy, I mean, it looks creepy and it looks good. It's like, you don't need to sell me anymore, but maybe they do need to sell. Some people are still like undecided. I don't know, but you can check that out. Now I'm curious. It's like, what would they put in this trailer? But I don't want to see too much. So I don't know. Matt Reeves. So people are concerned about this. Apparently, he is attached to direct and executive produce a Bonfire of the Vanities TV show for Apple TV. I don't think I watched Bonfire of the Vanities. I know wait, actually now I don't know. I believe it's based off a book, right? And then there is the movie. I didn't watch the movie. I'm trying to remember when it came out. I mean, I must have been a kid, but I think it seemed like like boring adult movie to me. So I was like, I don't think I could be totally wrong. I don't remember when it came out, but I don't think I've ever watched it. There's gonna be a show on it, okay? But here's the thing: if Matt Reeves is going to be directing and executive, is he going to direct the whole thing? I don't know. But what does this mean about The Batman 3? Are we going to have to wait like another 5 years between that? Is there going to be a The Batman number 3 or part 3? Because everyone's like, it's going to be a trilogy because people like doing the trilogies. So we'll have to see. Maybe it'll be some. No, I doubt there's going to be downtime between seasons. I don't know. What about like Daredevil? There's rumors. So who knows? Whatever. Of a potential possible Daredevil and Spider-Man team up sometime in the future, but this is gonna be a while. It would probably be after like a Daredevil season 3, which if all goes according to plans, what Disney has said is they want to do like Daredevil Born Again like every March, like around or March, April, about this time. So we would get season 3 a year from now. So then after that, and I don't know if there's something in the contracts where it's like, okay, we're locked in for 3 seasons, and for Disney Plus, that's a lot. It seems like because the most, especially for the Marvel shows, they don't really do a lot of seasons, unfortunately. But maybe after that, there's like some clause. I'd say I don't understand how this works because I feel like I'm trying to think if this has happened where if there's like an ongoing, and this like might be the old legal language or whatever, but it feels like, although I mean, I guess you got Mandalorian, but it always seems like if there's a series, you couldn't have the movie, you couldn't have both. It's like one or the other, which I don't understand because the thing is Marvel, I mean, it's all Disney, whether it's Marvel Studios, Marvel TV. So it seems like if they want to put Daredevil, have a Daredevil show and then use him in a movie as well, they should be able to do that. It's not like, with the Spider-Man, Sony, like all that weird, legal mumbo jumbo stuff. But, I mean, we got Matt Murdock in a Spider-Man movie. So, why can't we have that? Other rumors. I don't know anything about this. I have no idea. So is Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield going to be in Avengers Secret Wars? I think it's Secret Wars, right? Because the rumor is that they're both going to be in it, but they're going to be separate. They're not going to be like together again like we just saw. I don't know. And there was someone I think recently asked Andrew Garfield, maybe if he was going to be in Doomsday or something like that. And he, he's like, no, no, no. But what I find so incredibly annoying, because people are saying he flat out lied about being in the last Spider-Man movie, where he said, no, I'm not in it. That's not me. I'm not digitally erased out of that frame in the front of the trailer or anything like that. I just find it extremely annoying that people keep asking. I think one of the things he said in some recent interview, that he's probably he feels he's most likely going to be asked if he's going to be Spider-Man in every single interview he does, or for the rest of his career. People keep asking that. And what annoys me, it's yes, I get the journalist, the outlet, whoever, they want to get that scoop. But do you not understand that they have to understand. They know the way the studios work. They know that when they announce things, they announce them at a certain time and date and place. So it's not like they're going to give some random. If they're going to give the outlet the scoop, that has to be discussed. They're going to be like, "Hey, we're going to give you this exclusive, whatever. Here, you get to do this." So to try to ask someone, "Hey, can you spill any secrets?" They know all these actors they have to sign NDAs. And it's like, are you trying to catch them off guard so you get your little sound bite, your little scoop or whatever? And then what does that mean for the actor? If they sign an NDA, there's potential legal problems, right? I don't know exactly how it works. Are they going to get sued? Are they going to get fined? They're not going to get fired from the project or the next one because they're probably too important for that. But I just find it annoying that you're trying to get someone to reveal something when they're not allowed to discuss it. They probably can't even tell their mom, maybe, or their friends if they're doing something. So I just wish people would stop asking. Yes, we all want to know. We all want to know what's happening, what's coming up, or who's going to. We're all excited, but it's not cool because you're just trying to get someone in trouble, and it doesn't work that way. And stop. I don't know. And again, maybe this is why I didn't go, further than I did or I could have in the journalistic, whatever you want to call it, because I'm not going to be cutthroat like that. I'm not. It's not like every person for themselves or for me, but it's like, no. I've had people tell me things on occasion. I'm not going to spill the beans or blurt it out because you burn your bridges that way, and you'll get people in trouble or you'll lose your relationships, your contacts, or whatever. Just so annoying. So stop asking them if they're going to be if they're ready to tell you, they will tell you. You can say, "Hey, you got anything coming up?" But even that's just move on. There's something else. Another Spider-Man something. I'm trying to think of what it was. I can't think of it. There's a Spider Noir. Apparently, I don't know if what I read is something that they're gonna try to go for an Emmy, but isn't everyone trying to go for it? Because you have to submit stuff for your approval or whatever like that. So I think that they're trying to go and I kind of skim the report on this, and I don't know if it's because of the one category is the comedy musical or whatever. It seems like such a weird category, but maybe it's easier to do some of these more obscure or genre stuff in there. I don't know. So I guess they're going to try to go for an Emmy. All 8 episodes drop on MGM Plus, which I do not have. I'm not going to get that on May 25th. And then on Prime, May 27th. It just seems... they're trying to push Prime, or they're trying to push MGM, but I'm not going to get it. I don't watch anything on there. I got too many things. Zach Kreger, so he's talking about Resident Evil. So Resident Evil is coming out this year, September 18th, is that right? But he was talking about understanding how kind of hardcore the Resident Evil fans are, and he says that he knows that they'll crucify him if he strays from the source material. With that being said, his reboot is going to be introducing some all new characters, some completely new characters, and there is Taka is like some, what was it? I think it was like, was it like not a delivery, like what do you call them? A package delivery, mail delivery. It's been a long week. Carrier, maybe? And he's like in a hospital. And then like the outbreak happens, and it's supposed to be like 1998, I think. I'm just going on memory from what I read earlier. So he wants to use, different characters because like using like Leanne and Chris and those characters, it risks angering the fans, because there might be minor changes in the origins here or there. I get it. And it's a sticky situation because, you play the games, I want Chris Redfield, I want Claire, I want, whatever. But then, no matter what, someone's not going to be happy about something. They'll be like, oh, this isn't right. They're supposed to have a pair of green socks, not blue. Like, what are you doing? I don't know. So I'm excited for that. I feel like we've had so many Resident Evil attempted starts, and then they don't work. But okay, so we'll see. There was a Supergirl trailer. I almost forgot to watch that. It kind of starts off where Clark is talking to her in a video message or something like that, because she keeps going off planet to do whatever, go on her missions, and he's like, you gotta, if you keep doing that, you're not gonna find your people. And she's like, hey, I don't have any people, because her people are on Krypton. They all died. It's just there's a lot about like it's been her and Crypto for all this time and everything like that. And of course, Crypto's so darn cute. And if you read the comic, the Tom King comic, you know that things don't go too well for Crypto. And then it's like, okay, it's going to be time to revolt, because Crypto gets poisoned, and you can see it in the trailer where no one wants to see that, Tom King. So be prepared for poison Crypto, and there's some more Lobo and some fighting, and I'm excited for this. I think Millie Alcock's going to do a great job. I enjoyed her for her short time in House of the Dragon. I've never watched season 2 yet, whatever. But she also mentioned that she didn't talk to like previous Supergirl actors, because and I get this. She wanted to focus like on her own version, because her version is different from the other ones. So even though obviously it's the same character and all that, but she's handling it differently. You look at the Melissa Benoist, which I liked her. I thought she did a great job with that. I was really happy with her performance. The writing of the show was a little light, but I feel like she did a great job. But that was a much more positive version of Supergirl. Millie Alcock's version is dealing with issues. She's got survivor's guilt. And I think that's cool. I'm a big Supergirl fan. I've been saying this for a long time. I feel that she does not get the credit she deserves. I feel she's so underutilized, and it's like we go like so many times without having a Supergirl comic. It's like, what's up with that? And the Supergirl comic now, it's cutesy. It's okay. It's not my favorite, and I don't know what I want. I couldn't really tell you what I want. And that Tom King one, I wasn't super crazy about that, but there's different things, being off in space, another planet, having her depowered a little bit because of Red Sun, and I don't know, we'll see. Maybe someday I'll be happy. Someday. I think that's about it for the news. The only other thing is with the comics. I don't know why I don't talk about comic news more often, but apparently there's a teaser for more X-Men stuff. Because we've had the Hellfire Gala, and I think I don't know if it's just a teaser. I don't know if there's any information attached. I haven't checked my email, but I saw the teaser. It sounds like that we may be getting the Hellfire Gala back, which I've never been crazy about that. It's like let's get some artists design some really weird and wacky costumes, and then something's going to happen, or there's going to be a new team announced, and It's just, I don't know. I don't feel like we need that, but if people enjoy it, fine. But now what we're going to get is X-Men, the Hellfire Murder. So something's going to happen. It's going to be another big event. And I wonder if they ever get exhausted trying to come up. It's like, oh, hey, okay, yeah, awesome, I'm writing X-Men. All right, we got to come up with some big drama, some big event. It's like, man, I miss the days when we just had like cool stories after story after story, and not everything needs a hinge on like a 2-month, 18-part event that crosses over into all these other books. I don't know. I in my opinion, I don't feel that necessarily equates to great storytelling, because it's cool to get different creative teams together to plot something out, but even so, a lot of times the different parts feel a little disjointed because it's not the same person necessarily. I guess sometimes you might have the same writers on different books, but it feels like there's still like a gap or something. I don't know. So we have that to look forward to. And you have more podcasts to look forward to, but that is going to be the news for the week. Okay, with comic books, there was an issue of Speed Racer number 7. And I enjoyed this. So this is continuing with the Speed Racer versus like the GRX engine, the fastest car in the world, whatever. Speed he loses, and which is kind of a good thing, because it shouldn't just be speed wins. He can't win all the time. I mean, yes, he's a great racer, but if he's always winning, then that could get boring. But he's going up against like a family member of the GRX who had died, and he is mad at the racer family. He blames Pops for Pops was working on GRX with this other dude, and he's like, no, it's too dangerous, shouldn't do it. But the other guy didn't listen and whatever. So then as Speed was racing against this guy, the last issue, this GRX, it's super fast engine. Speed's trying to keep up with it. He's like, oh, no, he's not going to pass me. Oh, no, you don't. Blows out his engine. Boom. Which is, no one wants to see the Mach 5 engine get blown out. So Speed has to figure out like how. So I'll say this. One of the things he says to Pops, he's like, Pop, okay, I need you to build a GRX engine for the Mach 5. That's the only way. The Mach 5's not fast enough. And it's like, and we need to win, the race. So you need a heart for your heart transplant. We don't have the money. So some interesting things there. I enjoyed that. Then at Image, all right, what do we have at Image? I was a little confused with this. We had G.I. Joe, Real American Hero, Silent Issue, or a Silent Mission, Baroness. Because this was written by Declan Shalvey, art by Joel Jones, so it's, that's great. But because this is Real American Hero, I mean, unless I'm totally blanking and wrong, Real American Hero is the Larry Hama G.I. Joe. Okay, fine. Let someone else write a story. That's fine. Okay, but there's a moment between Baroness and Destro, and I'm like, wait, where are they? Why would she do that? And yeah, so I feel like we've been having too many of these silent issues. So they kind of lose. Well, like when it happened the first time, I mean, that was magic. And they tried doing it another time, Silent Interlude Part 2 or something like that, and that was fine, that was cool. But then it's like, oh no, we're gonna do like more. It's just it's not an easy thing, I feel, to write a story with no dialogue, and because there has to be really close communication between the writer and the artist. If the writer is involved, or if the artist is involved with the story, they have to, they're telling the story with just visuals. There's no text whatsoever, or no dialogue to move the scene along. And a lot of times it's just, so this one, like some things happen, I'm like, what? Oh, okay, all right. So I don't know. And then, because we recently had like a bunch of like silent issues, and it was like one every week for a month or something. And I don't know. Maybe I'm over it. I don't know. There was a Ghost Machine Guidebook #1. I didn't check this out. I'm kind of curious, but I'm wondering, I could be wrong, if this is just because at the end of the issues, there's like almost like a Marvel Handbook of the Universe, Marvel Universe, whatever guidebook, where it's just like kind of like their history, like, or all this stuff about them. And Jeff Johns, man, he's like a machine when it comes to these. He writes, like when he was doing Justice Society and there's all these kid characters, I'm like, holy crap. He's like writing all these history for everyone. So it's cool and it's great and it's so useful if you're like, wait, who is this character again? Who are they connected to? So I'm assuming that that's what this is, but there might be more to it than that. I should check it out just to be sure. There's also, let's see, what the Sacrificers #20. I haven't been reading that. I just fell behind and I don't even know what's going on now. There was the same thing with Kaya 34. Someday I'll get caught up on that. What I did read was Kilroy is Here. So this is by Joe Pruitt and Dalibor Talajic. I don't think that's how you say that. I had no idea what this is about, and I was like, well, I'll try it, because I don't really know the full story behind like the Kilroy was Here thing. My only knowledge of Kilroy was Here is the Styx album with Mr. Roboto. So I know there's a whole thing, and it wasn't like part of like the Don't Tread on Me. I don't know, but I decided to check this out. It's an interesting premise, and part of it has to do with like there are angels that can, so only they can see certain things, but it's not like your regular angels, and there's stuff going on. So there's like this murder happening, and this guy usually, I don't want to give too much away, but usually he somehow has a connect, he's there to see like the aftermath or whatever, but then he actually shows up to one as it's happening. So, and there's a reason for that. There's like something going on, something drawing him there and stuff. And so, yeah, it's an interesting read. Like I said, it's worth checking out. I would say give it a try. That's my thoughts. I think that was it for non-Marvel DC. So at Marvel, there was an Alien King Killer #1, and I was like, what is this about? Because this is just a straight Alien comic. It's not like Alien versus any Marvel character or whatever. And the description, they really sold it like this is going to be like one of the biggest or epic Alien story or something like that. But it's a comic version, and that's what makes it hard for me to get into, because it's like my problem with sci-fi comics. Just sometimes it's too bright, too colorful, or just I don't know. So I didn't read that. I'm curious, but I don't know. And what I realized recently, it's like I'm not the biggest fan of the Alien franchise. I enjoyed the series recently, but yeah, so there's that. All new Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider #9. So I read this. I was like, did I read issue 8? And sometimes I forget an issue, and so I read. I must have missed issue 8, because Gwen is having like nightmares or visions of becoming the Green Goblin, and it's like, wait, what? So she's actually talking to Norman Osborn, because Norman Osborn is good now. He's been cleansed of his sins or whatever, and I should probably go back and track down or whatever issue 8, because we saw it in like when Norman first saw like Spider-Gwen, and just a thought, because this is the person that he caused her death, and he does feel guilt and remorse about the things he did when he was out of his mind, and I would think that I would think and hope he would be like so protective, like really want the best for her, because this is a younger version of Gwen, and she's a good person. She's a hero, and I would think he'd want to do whatever he could to help her. I just hope that there's none of this what that little liaison that supposedly happened, I refuse to believe. There's no way. That makes no sense. But yeah, so she's dealing with stuff. She's got anger issues, and Captain Marvel: Dark Past #1. This was interesting because Carol's like she realizes she's got some gaps in her memory. She was absorbed by Rogue, and then just like everything's going on, she got memories back. Did they say something? She died and came back, or am I thinking of someone else? Maybe I'm thinking about Wonder Man. That might be it. But yeah, so she's getting these memories, and she's like, "Wait, why am I remember?" Like, there's an argument with her and her dad. She's like, why is he so mad about? Like, what's going on?" And yeah, so stuff's happening, and it's interesting, like seeing her and Tony Stark like kind of working together, because when we had was a Civil War II, like didn't Carol like almost kill Tony Stark? But what I do appreciate how they're both recovering alcoholics, so they got that connection, and they help each other, and that's awesome. So yeah, I enjoyed this. This was good. Daredevil #1. At first, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this series. New #1 and stuff, because Matt decides he's going to be a college professor now. So it's like, what? And he's dealing with some of that, and then some people are kind of being rude. And of course, there's like this one teacher who comes and talks to him, and she's appears to be like a well-drawn character, like she's supposed to be pretty. Of course, Daredevil's always how many people has Daredevil hooked up with? And I mean, is like that is like his other secret power where he dates everyone or hooks up with everyone. And then, because I think there's like a couple of characters, it's like potential love interest, right? And then there's like these murders happening and stuff. So I did like it. There's this new character, I believe is new, and it's like, wait, who's this person that Daredevil is fighting? And they seem to have like some sort of edge over him. So it's like, what's happening here? So he's got his hands full there. So I approve of that. So if you hear that, Marvel, you got my approval. Deadpool, April Fool's Day #1. I like Deadpool. I'm a supporter of Deadpool, but sometimes even I it's too much. So when I saw this, I was like, April Fool's Day. I was like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to open this comic, read this comic. It's written by Gail Simone. Let's see, art, C.F. Vila, Robert Gill, and Iguara. I was like, all right, fine. I'll start flipping through, and then we have what's her name? Outlaw. So that the cowboy. I did Gail Simone, because Gail Simone wrote this, and I can't remember if Gail Simone created Outlaw. So Outlaw seems like a cool character. She's just like supposed to be this pretty blonde. She's got cowboy whatever stuff, but she's like incredibly skilled. She holds her own and everything like that. But then it's like, wait, and I'm trying to think back, and maybe I'm blocking things out. It's like, has she and Deadpool hooked up? Because why would anyone hook up with Deadpool? He's sorry, his skin, his face, it's all. You saw the movies. It's like a prune or inside of a whatever, and he's got that. But maybe it's like, well, it's not about the looks. Maybe it's about his personality. But Deadpool's personality sucks. He is so immensely annoying. So why would I don't know. Maybe because I didn't read it. Maybe it was April Fool's. I don't know. So I didn't check that out. Or I didn't read it completely. There was Doctor Strange. I'm not reading that, even though it's has Angela from Spawn, but I just too much Mjolnir stuff. I can't do it. Whatever. There was an Eternals 50th anniversary. I can never get into Eternals, and I don't know what it is, and I know should be like huge respect for them, but I don't know. So I didn't read that. Logan, Black, White, and Blood. I didn't look at this. Let's see. Ethan Sachs wrote one. Giuseppe, is that Giuseppe Camatricioli? Philip Kennedy Johnson. Yeah, I didn't check that out. Then there's Rivals, Duel of Kings. I'm not reading this because I feel, I think this is like an alternate reality thing, and I don't know what the heck is going on there. Nova Centurion. Did I read anything this week? Nova Centurion #6. I didn't read this because I think I haven't read the last. I'm trying to remember which is the last one. Did I read 4? I know I didn't read 5, so I'm a little behind. And it's hard. As much as I really like Nova, it's just all this cosmic stuff makes it hard to read. And I should be reading because it's like. It might have been issue 3 or something, like Nova, like there's something that Nova potentially did. It's like, wait a minute, what's going on? So I should probably keep up with that. Venom #6. Oh my goodness, something happens here, and I hate to say it, but so many people are going to rejoice. It's not a good thing to rejoice. Or I shouldn't say anymore. I don't want to hint, but something that people have been. Why people have been wanting it? Are you just cruel and sadistic? Something happens, and it's pretty crazy. I don't know if I believe it because it was like so insulting to the character before. It's like, oh my gosh, can you like make it worse? So stuff happened, and I don't know how I feel about this Torment character. I know I've said that before, and maybe it's because there's just so much symbiote stuff, but. It's interesting. I just want to say, let me go on record now. I really hope that they don't have Mary Jane and Flash Thompson like hook up or start dating or whatever, because I don't know. Flash is just I don't care what he's gone through and whatever. He's still just a jerk. He was a bully for the longest time, and yeah, he found the error of his ways, and he's a good friend of Peter and all that. But and what is he going after all of Peter Parker's girlfriends? He dated Betty Brant for the longest time. Even got her to cheat on her husband. See, that's not a good guy. I don't know, but yeah. And the developments with Eddie Brock's like okay. There was a Wonder Man #1. I was a little confused at first. So this is by Jerry Duggan. He writes this. Who does the art? Is it Mark Buckingham? Let's see. Yeah, Mark Buckingham. So we got good writer, good artist, good creative team, and it's weird. It feels like there's some sort of influence from the Marvel TV show, which is great because I really enjoyed that show. When I'm reading this, I'm like, wait, we just had Simon Williams and West Coast Avengers. And it's like, what's going on here? But then he does mention it because then like Killer Watt is in here, and I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, so there's some interesting things here. But Simon here has like some memory lapses too from, being put in a bottle or whatever Scarlet Witch did to him and stuff like that. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Then there was X-Men #28. So this is a Jed MacKay X-Men. Was it Nito Diaz is a penciler? I'm not super loving this story arc, but whatever. We have to have it. We got this new group going up against the X-Men. And what are they calling themselves? Danger Room or something like that. And they're creating. They're very well orchestrated. So they're basically attacking the X-Men on several fronts. I mean, it's so well thought out, and I think that's probably part of why I don't like it because I don't want to see the team like getting their butts kicked left and right, whatever. But they kidnap what's his name, John Crow. Wait, what's his name? Psylocke's boyfriend, that dude, and then she, so she's like, I got to go after him. And it doesn't seem like things went too well for her. Then the sheriff in the Alaskan town where they're at, she gets kidnapped. But they know it's a trap. But now the X-Men are fighting, some weird things just to try to, get out of there. And that's not going well for them. And then back home, Glob, he's like the nicest guy or whatever. And that is his name, right? Is it Glob? I don't know why that's not sounding right. But you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, that's Glob. But, because he's all into cooking and stuff like that, he's growing all this food, and I don't think he was even like giving it away, like having like this market, going to like a farmer's market type of thing. He's like, here's the food and stuff like that, and someone shoots him because they're like, and Quentin's like flipping out because he's like, I hate humans, they hate us, or I don't know if he says he hates them, but he's like, they hate us, they built sentinels and all this stuff like that, they shot Glob, and it's like, and Magneto, who's like, he's like struggling. He's depowered. He's not the Magneto that we all know, but he's like, you need to calm down. And Quinn's like, no. So there's like all this stuff. And, Magneto's even like, think about it, they're doing this on purpose. They're splitting us up. And they, Glob is like a non-combatant because they're trying to outrage us. So we go and attack. And it's exactly right. And Quinn's like, you're just saying that because you don't have your powers. And so it's a big mess. But if we don't have these messes, this drama or something like that, then we're just going to have the X-Men playing softball all the time. And it's fun once in a while. We don't need that all the time. At DC Comics, we have Batman number 8. So this is Matt Fraction. Ryan Sook does the art here, I believe. And at first I'm like, wait, what's going on? Because last month, in issue 7, we had that like weird Joker story. So it's like, what is going on? And the way it ends, it kind of leaves on a cliffhanger where Joker kind of drops this bombshell, whatever, on Batman, and he's like, whoa. And then I was like, spoiler, that was the last panel. I won't tell you what was said. But there's like, okay, wait, what does this mean? And then it's like, maybe it has something to do with, maybe is Ryan Sook like fill-in art here or something happened? I don't know. But then here, there's stuff going on. And I must have missed something because Pamela Isley is the mayor now of Gotham? When did that happen? Where did that happen? Because, did it happen in her book? Because I'm not reading Poison Ivy, which is out this week at issue 43. And I am so happy that these books are so long running, even though I'm not reading it. And part of the reason I'm not reading, my stupid reason for not reading it is I thought it was a miniseries, and I was reading, the beginning, and I was like, okay, whatever, I'm not going to, the series is almost over, and then it just kept going and going. But Vandal Savage, he has such a bone to pick with Batman, so he's going to the mayor now, to Mayor Isley, Mayor Poison Ivy, saying that he wants to declare war against Batman and his cult of Fowlers and stuff like that. It's like, man, Vandal, you need to go away. But and then Batman, he I guess on the cover he meets up with Alan Scott, and they talk about some things. So I like that. That was good. We also had Absolute Superman number 18. I'm not reading that. I think I saw someone saying that something happens, a character, an ally. I don't know if they got a new look. Something happened, but I don't know what that is. Batman, Superman, World's Finest, issue 50, double size, extra size. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't need extra size comics when I barely have time to read all these comics. I didn't read this. I started skimming it, and I think it's still like the Earth 3 stuff. And there's also another story. Both stories are by Mark Waid, so I need to go back and read that. But yeah, then there's JSA number 18. I've gotten behind on that, so I'm not sure what's going on. I need to check that out. Bizarro Year None. I love Bizarro. I was been kind of dreading this issue or this series when it came out, because I thought they said that like new origin or whatever or something, and it's Kevin Smith writing. Kevin Smith makes amazing movies. I don't necessarily like his comics, and sometimes I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And if all of a sudden they're going to let Kevin Smith revamp his origin, I don't know about that. And I think it's Nick Pitaro does the art. I could be wrong about that. The art is like so so precise, just like so detailed. But sometimes it's like too much. Like when you see Perry White, he looks really haggard. You know, his hair is like all over, and there's so much scruff and everything. And it doesn't look like the Perry White that we normally have. You know, Perry White usually has like the Fred Flintstone, Homer Simpson 5 o'clock shadow, but yeah, it's just kind of all over. And I probably should check that out, but again, you know, getting short on time and stuff like that. And I was just like struggling because then I see like, wait, what is Jimmy up to? It's like Jimmy, is that? Oh yeah, that's Jimmy. He looks a little off, but that's just the design. And yeah, so we have that. And then that was all I read, because then we had there was Batgirl number 18. I wasn't super crazy about issue 17. We got Batman Static Beyond, Adventure Superman, Book of L. I'm not even sure what this is about, if this is like in current continuity or whatever. I don't even know what issue that is. Maybe I should go back and check that. Then there was Poison Ivy, which I mentioned. And there was also a Mad About DC, like a Mad Magazine comic. So that's interesting. I should look into that. But that is it. That's all I read. That's a lot of what I didn't read. That is comic books for the week. Okay, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, Season 2, Episode 5, Furosato. And actually, I just looked at, I was like, what does that mean? You know, I watched the episode, obviously, but it's like, what does that mean? Furosato translates literally, so I looked this up, translates literally to hometown or birthplace, but profoundly represents a home of the heart, a nostalgic, emotional, or spiritual place of belongings. Okay? It often evokes longing for the countryside, childhood innocence, and a cherished connection to one's heritage, roots, or past. So, interesting. Okay, so we have that. Now, man, this episode, stuff happens. And I know I say that before, but this is one of those, I don't know if I should talk about it now or at the end, but it's like sometimes when things happen, and, you know, I think we all kind of become jaded sometimes, where, you know, you look at some of these shows, and you're like, oh, they're not going to do this. They won't do this. It's going to come really close. You know, like Daredevil last week, which I guess I should talk about that later. You know, like someone's like, what's going to happen? Who's, you know, and what I'm talking about is characters potentially dying. Now, with these shows, you know, obviously at any point anyone can die, but you know, there's certain people that you know probably aren't going to die. In Monarch, we could probably safely assume Kurt Russell's character, you know, Leland Shaw, is not going to die, but you never know, because at some point Kurt Russell might be like, hey, all right, this has been fun, but I'm done, or whatever, you know, reason, and you know, maybe they'll still do flashbacks or this or that, and so it's like no one's ever really safe. You know, you often have your core characters, but in a show like this, there are so many core characters. In a show like Daredevil, Matt Murdock's not going to die, you know, unless it's a comic book death and he comes back like soon. So this episode, let's just start, man, and then we can talk about the end, how it was a bummer. It starts off in Tokyo, 1990. So we see Hiroshi is in a waiting room. So it's like, okay, who's he in a waiting room for? He's on the phone call with Kate. So I actually had to look this up. So I was like, he's in a waiting room. He's talking to Kate. So I'm like, what does this mean? So I was like, wait, who's older, Kate or Kentaro? And maybe I should have known, but it turned out Kate was the older kid. And I guess that was obvious, yeah, because she was older. And then, you know, Kentaro was still, wasn't he like 18 or something at home in Tokyo? But now, actually, I don't know how I'm still not quite sure. I don't know if I missed it. Like how much time had passed when they were in Axis Mundi? Or like Shaw, Kate, was May there? No. Maybe? No. So they're closer to age now, but he's on the phone with Kate telling him, you know, it's his bedtime, you're going to close your eyes, let the dreams come. And she says she's not sleepy, will he just, talk to her a little longer? So Hiroshi asks her if she remembers a song. So, okay, Furusato is the name of the song, which has to do with nostalgia and all that stuff, childhood, innocence, and stuff like that. His mother used to sing it to him whenever he couldn't sleep. Kate's like, I thought you said, or that it was when she missed Japan, which, goes again with that nostalgia part. And Hiroshi's like, yeah, but, it calmed them both when they needed it. So he sings, she starts singing too. And then this nurse comes up to him and is like, they're ready for you. And, he kind of stares at her. And then Kate's on the phone. She's like, Dad, are you there? He's like, why'd you stop? And he apologized, says he has to go. She's like, but the song's not finished. And he's like, this way we'll have something to look forward to. Which, it's kind of crappy. She's asked, how soon is until he comes home. He said he'll be home before she knows it. He's like, I love you. And he hangs up, and Kate's like, I love you too, Daddy. But he already ended the call. So it's heartbreaking. It's like, why, what drove him to have two families? I mean, obviously he fell in love with two people. Okay, so he goes into a room. At first I thought he was married twice, but I think he said he didn't have two wives. So she must just be his girlfriend. And again, I don't know if I'm missing these little tiny details in him, just whatever. So I'm assuming it's a girlfriend with a baby, and she's like, Hiroshi, she's like, meet your son. And he's like, not the way you wanted it to be, I know. He's like, I never said that. It's just, I thought the two of us were all we needed. And she's like, I thought of taking your father's name, William, and we can call him Bill. And Hiroshi's like, that was my stepfather's name. My father's name was Kentaro. So she repeats, she's like, Kentaro, and she looks at the baby. She offers the baby to Hiroshi to hold, and he's like, it's okay, Kentaro, I'm here. And then we see a shot of Kate lying in her bed alone, still awake. So it's heartbreaking. He's got a daughter at home. She has no idea. She thinks he's working, but here he's having another kid. She has a brother now, and she has no idea. It just seems weird. Then we get the intro to show. Back to the present. Oh, man. We see Hiroshi reading the letter that his mom, the Kay, I keep doing that, Kay, the letter that Kay wrote to Shaw way back when they had their little one-night moment of passion. So he looks at his mom, slams the car door because he's on the other side of the van. He storms off like a hypocritical little baby. And she goes after him. She's like, we need to talk. And he shakes his head. He's like, we don't have time. He's like, if the Titan is heading to Santa Soledad, we need to get there and find a way to send it back where it came from. And it's like he won't look at her, and he has his back to her. And she's like, please. She's like, let me see that letter. And he's like, of course. Forgive me for reading it. It belongs to you and Uncle Lee. And she's like, I need to explain. He's like, you don't owe me an explanation. Your business is your own. She's like, it was just a one-time mistake. And he stops in a doorway, and he finally turns and faces her. He's like, really? That letter doesn't seem like a mistake. And so it's like, holy crap. Is he like a speed reader or something like that? And so he was able to read. It was more than one page. He somehow had time to read all of that. And I don't understand. Once he starts reading, why would he keep reading? To read the entire thing? It's like, are you friggin' serious? And he's like, I love you, Lee. And she's like, stop. He's like, I always will. She's like, stop. And he's like, in another lifetime, we could be together. Your Kai. Your K. Your K. And so it's like, dang, he was even able to memorize it in mere seconds. It's probably because he's a genius, right? He's so smart. He built that sphere thing or whatever. Oh, it's like, what a jerk. And she's like, I know what it says. And then Hiroshi's like, so did Bill Randa. It's like, that letter was in his things. He knew that you betrayed him, and your betrayal drove him away. And she shakes her head angrily. She's like, I don't believe that. That's not who he was. Billy loved you. He wanted to be the best father that he could for you. And Hiroshi's like, that's not what I remember. And she's like, no, I was just talking to him, driving into Kazakhstan. And he was saying that we'd never been away from you for so long, and he wanted to get back home to you so bad. And where there's a little quick flashback, they're in the truck, Bill's driving, and Kay stares at him holding in his hand. And then in present, She's like, this was 2 months ago. So that's the weird thing. It's like she hasn't really had time to mourn him, because for her, she just saw him, and it hasn't really sunk in that he's dead. I think, I don't know. She's like, that was 2 months ago, and because he's such a piece of crap, he's sarcastic. He's like, my condolences on your loss. He's like, but you still have your other great love. And he walks out, and Kate and Kentaro are there. So I was like, did they hear anything? Did they know what's going on? In Santa Soledad, southern Chile, May is in a Jeep with Brenda, Holland, and the other Apex people. There's like lots of trucks and Hummers there. They have this whole like operation going. And May's like, when you said field work, I didn't know you meant this far afield. And Holland's like, we didn't pick the spot. The Titan did. So then they get out there like at base camp or something like that. And then the PA's like, Titan arrival in T-minus 13 hours. May looks around. She has a concerned look. And Holland comes up to her, is like, asks her if she's having second thoughts. And May's like, aren't you? It's like, do you really think my code's the answer? Yes, I do, Cora. It's like she's always saying her name. And I feel like she says it because, so May goes by May, and that's why I still refer to her as May. The others refer to her as May. But her real name is Cora. And Brenda, she's constantly she's like Cora. So I feel it's like when she's one of those people where it's like knowing someone's name is power, and she's just I don't know, it's just what it feels like. And May's like, this isn't a tiny leaf wing that you can perch on your arm and feed peanuts to. Do you really feel like we can control this thing? Yes. Now make sure your code skills are up to control Titan X. No pressure. I'm counting on you. It's just like, ugh. Then there must be like a private airport or something like that. Shaw says to Hiroshi, he's like, you have every right to be upset, but can I ask you something? What good is it doing you to live a life that's so fixated on wanting to change the past that you can't allow yourself to create a better future? I mean, at some point, you're going to have to move beyond blaming everyone for what they did and start building a life that's yours. And Hiroshi's like, what do you expect from me? Just pretend none of this ever happened? And Shaw's like, no, of course not. Well, it would be convenient for you, wouldn't it? Shaw's like, I'm not telling you this for my benefit, Hiro, but yours and hers and your children. You got your mother back, Hiro. You did that. You really want to push her away now? Because if you do, you're blowing off the opportunity to discover one of the most fascinating, fearless, and unique people alive. All because you're mad that a long time ago, she just happened to fall in love with two men. And so here it finally comes. This part was like, bother me so much. And Shaw's like, I'd expect you, of all people, might know a little something about that. And then Hiro just like gives him a look. It's like, you are such a hypocrite. You're going on and on about, or you're so upset that your mom had a one night fling, if you want to call it that. One night with another man. Yeah, the letter says that she was in love with him, another life they could be together, but she wasn't. She wanted to be with Bill. Yet here's a guy who's married, has a daughter, and then goes off, has another kid, has another relationship, and maybe he wasn't planning on having another kid. He was messing around while he was married, and then he has another kid, and then just keeps on living that life, living two lives. But such a freaking hypocrite. So Shaw's like, well, our ride's here. So this big plane, like cargo plane, pulls up. So Shaw goes and he gets the others in a hangar, and Hiroshi stands there thinking. Then on Outpost 18, the big boat, Tim's, this is weird. He's talking like on a video call in the middle of the control room. So he's talking to that dude who hates him, and in front of like all the other like worker people there. So he's like, Director Barris, if you just hear me out. He's like, absolutely. If you can explain to me why you're headed to South America when Apex Cybernetic is telling us they have a positive hit on Titan X in the Bering Sea. And Tim's like, because the last time Apex told us they had a positive hit, we chased a blue whale halfway across the Pacific Ocean. So I don't trust Apex. And Barris like, I don't trust them either. That's why I need eyes on the scene. I can't just call them liars. And Tim's like, a reliable source has confirmed that Apex knows that Titan X is headed to South America.
He's like, what source? And Tim's like, a highly respected and confidential informant. And he's like, it's Colonel Shaw, isn't it? Damn it, Tim. The world's on a precipice, and you got possible Titan sightings popping up all over the globe, and you want me to take a valuable asset off the board based on the word of a fugitive? He's like, no, it's not just Shaw's word. He has evidence, a migratory map from Bill Randa's journals. Okay, I stand corrected, so I'm supposed to trust a fugitive and a crazy dead man. And Tim's like, well, Apex does, and they're not sharing that information. Why not? He's like, look, sir, we cannot afford to be wrong about this. There are good people on the ship and equipment that can help. But it's not going to do any good in Alaska because there's nothing there. Barris is like, Apex are our partners in this. And Tim's like, are they? Barris is like, and they have friends in high places. You understand? And Tim doesn't say anything. He's like, all right, look, if I back this play, it's going to be both our necks on the chopping block. I'm going to need more than your source, Tim. Get me some proof. So on the cargo plane, Hiroshi's like sits quietly. Kay looks over at him. Kate notices some things like bugging Kay, and she's like, do you want to talk about it? And Kay smiles, trying to like put on a brave face. And she's like, I'd rather talk about you. And she's like, you said you think you can help. Did something happen to you in San Francisco? Kate's like, I think I heard something. And Kay's like, she's distracted, and she keeps looking at Hiroshi. Kentaro's like, heard what? And she's like, I went to the Golden Gate Bridge, and there was this vibration like, I don't know, like a song coming from the ocean. And Kentaro's like, you heard the ocean singing? And he looks at her. I can't really tell. It looks like he's like taking it seriously. But then I don't know if Kate realized it sounds crazy, or if she noticed that Kate wasn't fully paying attention, because she's like, you know what? She's like, I was drunk. It was probably nothing. Shaw comes from the front. He's like, okay, pilot said we land in 2 hours, and then we'll go on shore to Santa Soledad by boat. And Kentaro's like, how do we know that's where Titan X is going? Kay's like, the people on the island, they celebrated a festival that foreshadowed the return of this Titan. They call it the Koi Kai, and Billy believed that this was the one stop on its migratory route. Shaw's like, he predicted Titan X should reappear about every 15 years. He didn't live long enough to see he was right, but he was. Titan X was due back before 2023. Kentaro's like, so Bill Randa was late and we're 6 years too early? Kay's like, by activating the Suzuki device on Skull Island, it appears that we have awakened Titan X and brought it out of Axis Mundi ahead of its schedule. Shaw's like, if its natural instincts do kick in, it should follow the path it always has. Skull Island, right back to Santa Soledad. And I think it was Kate. She's like, says something like, what do you think Apex is going to do if it shows up? And Shaw's like, Tim said the intel we got from our little incursion into Apex indicates they may be working on a way to control the Titan with a neural implant. Probably air launch from a chopper or drone. But the real question is, why are they keeping it a secret? So they land, they make their, now they're going through their woods. They're kind of walking in groups. Kentaro says to Kate, she's like, it might explain a lot about him. To the two families, he was abandoned as a kid. Maybe he never wanted to risk being alone. And Kate's like, so you think he needed a backup family? A spare, just in case? Kentaro's like, he couldn't help himself. It's the engineer in him. Neither one of us was a spare. It doesn't matter who came first. He loved us both. And Kate's like, and he left us both. Kentaro's like, you didn't see him when I told him we thought you were dead. He was destroyed. He barely slept for 2 years straight. And that's why it's like, how long, were they gone? So he's like, he didn't sleep for 2 years straight. He's like, I finally get a chance to see all of him now, not needing to keep himself half hidden all the time. Further up a little ways, Kay asks Shaw, why did he keep that letter? And Shaw's like, it was all I had left of you, Kay. I could take it out from time to time, and kick myself for not fighting harder for you, or pat myself on the back for how noble I was. And she's like, how do we make this right? Shaw's like, we can't change the past, Kay. And I don't think Hiroshi's in any mood to hear an apology from us right now, even if it's owed. Just give it time. At the base camp, that annoying Apex dude, Jason, who is on the outpost boat. He calls out to Holland, and she asks him if they're ready, and he says that they will be. He just needs a quick moment for a chat. And she's like, make it quick. And he says a security sweep at the North Shore found a Zodiac boat hidden in a cove. And she's like, oh, they got here sooner than I expected. Cora's friends. It was only a matter of time before they showed up. And he's like, he asks her, like, how does she want him to handle them? And she thinks about it. And she says to do what he has to do to make sure they don't interfere. And, because they can't have them leading Monarch there. The others arrive close to the base camp. Shaw's like, well, we were right. Apex is here. It's like, all right, we got to let Monarch know and stay out of sight until they get here. Then at the old dock of the town that we saw, like in the past, when Kay and Sean and Billy were there, May asks, where did all the people go? And Hollins says that they moved out after Monarch moved in. I guess living under a microscope didn't appeal to them. May's like, and the Titan comes back here? If our recent acquired research from Bill Randa is correct, with Titan X on the loose, it should return to Santa Soledad. May's like, but why? To do what? And Holland's like, to spawn, to feed. I imagine we'll find out tonight when the Titan arrives. First we launch the drone carrying the projectile, and then we launch the projectile into the Titan, unless someone were to try and stop us. And May's like, what are you talking about? Your friends, the Randas, they know we're here. And May's like, what are you talking about? Am I really supposed to believe you're surprised? And May's like, I mean, they were calling me in Pensacola, but it's like, what? Brenda, it's not like I need them in my ear telling me how dangerous and reckless and stupid this is. I hope you don't believe that, Cora. And she's like, of course I believe it, but I also believe this is going to work, or else I wouldn't be here, would I? Well, let's get to it then. And then they're like, Titan arrival in T-minus 3 hours. Shaw points out a structure to Kay. She's like, that wasn't here before. And she says it's one of theirs. So Shaw says it doesn't look like anyone's been there for a while. They go to look. Hiroshi tells Kate and Kentaro to stay there, keep watch. The building kind of has like a platform, and it might have been an antenna on top or something. And there's like a building like part on the bottom. There's stairs that lead to like the top. On a wall, or outside, it says Monarch Outpost 27. Inside is like a small room. There's like a bed and some scattered supplies, whatever. There's like paper tacked to the walls. Very old equipment on a table. Shaw like looks on a map and it says 1968. It's like, looks like Monarch waited a decade for that thing to come back before they packed it in. Kay looks at something, but says, there's nothing they can use. Shaw's like, Monarch should have toughed it out, but they didn't have Billy's journal. Kay picks up like a folded piece of paper on the bed, and she's like, Billy was here. He came back. And then Hiroshi's like in the doorway, and so Kay's like, it's your drawing, Hiroshi. And she like sits on the bed, and she bends over and starts crying because, she hasn't been able to process it. Shaw like tries to comfort her. Hiroshi, still being a baby, seeing them sitting on the bed next to each other and, her crying, he just like walks out. Then Kay gets up and she goes out after him, and he's like standing at the edge, like the clearing, looking at the water. And she's like, Hiroshi, what I wrote in that letter, we don't have to talk about it. And she's like, yes, we do. He reluctantly turns and faces her. She's like, whatever you think that letter means, I need you to know I loved your father with all my heart. And he's like, well, not all of it. She's like, I chose to be with Billy. I wanted us to be a family. And he's like, when I read that letter, I was filled with anger at you, at Shaw, for what you did to Dad and what it made him do to me. But then, you know what I felt? Relief. I always assumed that he left because of me, that I did something wrong, that I wasn't his own flesh and blood, that he didn't really love me. And she's like, that's not true. And she goes up like behind him, puts her arms around him. And he's like, so reading that letter and finally understanding that I wasn't the one who disappointed him, in a way, it lifted a weight off my shoulders. And she's like, if only I'd been there, if I hadn't taken foolish risks. The day I fell through the rift, there's a quick flashback when, she's like hanging over, like whatever, she's about to go down the pit. She's like, it was me who made the decisions. They both were against it, and I convinced them that I should be the one to go down. And see, like that's the point. When so that was like the end of season 1, I think. No, it must have been before that. Maybe it was halfway, or maybe it was like, I don't know. It was early on, and it's like, holy crap, like Kay just died. And, because you see all these other episodes when, like, they first met and everything like that. I was like, wow, they just killed off a main character. And then they bring her back. It's like, what? So, I don't know. But I don't think that's going to happen this time. She's like, after that reckless decision cost me years of my life. And she puts her hand on his face. It's like, years I could have spent with you, been there for you as a mother. Maybe then you wouldn't have spent so much of your life feeling so abandoned. He's like, I realize now the people I disappointed, those mistakes were my own. You own yours, I own mine. So then it's 2014, flashback. Hiroshi gets out of the elevator, he has flowers, then he gets a call, and someone's like, asks, where is he? And he says he's just seeing his family. Then it's Tim talking to him. So this is 2014. Tim says, like, something's come up, and I think you really should get back to DC. Hiroshi's like, I haven't seen them in over a month, okay? And Tim's like, this is important. Hiroshi's like, this is important? He's like, see you next week. And Tim's like, no, wait, don't hang up. There's something here you really need to see. He's like, goodbye, Tim. He's like, Tim's like, a fishing trawler in the Western Pacific hauled in an old Monarch bag. It has property of William Randa stenciled on it. Hiroshi's like, doesn't say anything. And he's like, it's got field notes in it, old maps, data tapes. It might be from his Skull Island expedition. Hiroshi's like, he just like pauses and he's like, yeah, I'll be back in a week. And Tim's like, a week? He's like, are you serious? There's a treasure trove here, stuff nobody's ever seen. Hiroshi's like, can you please handle this? And he's like, yes, but he's your father. You're the only one here that even knew him. Hiroshi's like, I didn't know him. I barely remember him. And Tim's like, oh, I'm sorry. And Hiroshi's like standing in the hall, like with his eyes squeezed shut, because this is obviously painful for him because he thinks Bill deserted him. And Tim's like, it's these readings that we're getting out of Janir or somewhere, I forget where, but what's in here could really be important. I'm sorry, I just thought you'd want to be here. And then he's like, I'll be on the next flight. And he goes back down the hall. He doesn't even bother like pop in. So this is horrible. He hasn't seen his, I forget how long it's been now. And Tim's like, you got to come. It's like, dude, you do not understand what it's like because you don't have a family. You don't have anyone. But here, he's got 2 families that he's trying to spend time with. And he's about to spend some time. And Tim's like, you got to come. He's like, oh. And of course, Hiroshi didn't have to, but he did. Outpost 18, alarm goes off. A lady says she's picking up something on sonar, 1,000 meters. It came out of nowhere. Tim's like, what's its bearing? So it's like right behind them. So it might be Titan X. It's coming right for them. It's coming in 200 meters, closing 100 meters. Brace for impact. Whoosh. The lady's like, contact, heading south, southeast, 500 meters ahead, headed straight for Santa Soledad. And Tim's like, we're not going to make it in time. It's like, we got to tell Shaw. So it like passed underneath them. So lucky for them. Holland's on the phone and says it's about 10 miles out, making a beeline for them, just like Bill Randa's map told us, or whatever. So she's talking to someone named Walter. I don't know if, now here's the thing. I don't remember anyone named Walter. I don't know if we've seen it, if it's someone like I should know and I totally forget. But she's talking, that's her boss. So who's Walter? I don't know. I don't remember, or I don't know, or we don't know. She tells them that he was right. Everything's proceeding as expected. And she has faith in Cora's code. The synaptic link will scale, and they'll have proof of concept. So it won't be long now. The others are still sneaking around outside, and they're like by the structures of buildings and the little deserted town now. They like kind of duck because there's someone like on patrol nearby. They hear a radio says alert the drone crew for final drone check. The next arrival should be like 20 minutes. Shaw whispers that they should cut through the old tavern to get a better look. Kay's, when they get there, Kay's like, it's so lifeless now. And Shaw says that they have to stop Apex and, they're running out of time. Looking out a window, he says that, there's a drone carrying the synaptic link. And he points out two like metal like torches on either side of it against, he's like, see those against the building. It's like they're going to use those to jam the rotors on a drone. Then Kate sees May, and meanwhile Jason gets a call and tells him, the boss lady, that they got to go. And May says, she's like, I get that, but I still need time to recompile the new module and make sure the interface doesn't bottleneck. He's like, that sounds super important. The thing is, we just got confirmation the Titan is inbound. He'll hit our locale in 16 minutes. So let's not make perfect the enemy of good. Perfect. And she's like, perfect is our only option. And he just like walks away. He's like, it's now or never. Let's go. So she taps her tablet. And I don't know if she's like trying to stall or something like that, or she's just not sure what to do. But she starts walking. And in tavern, Shaw's like, he's like, you want to know what Apex is really up to? Let's ask. So Hiroshi like hisses at him, and he like moves through the door. Shaw calls out to May from the doorway, and he like motions for her to like come in there. She nonchalantly walks over or whatever, and she's like, what are you doing? And she's like, they know you're here. You need to leave now. And Kate's like, that's not an answer. Why are you helping them? And May's like, because I feel the work that we're doing could prevent another G-Day. We've made incredible progress. We'll be able to control them. And Kate's like, progress? May? It's barbaric is what it is. And Kate's like, who gets to control them? Brenda? Her boss? Do you hear how naive you sound right now? And May's like, I sound naive? She's like, Jesus, Kate. She's like, we're trying to do something good. And she's like, stay out of the way. And she's like, I don't want you guys to get hurt. And she goes out the door. And Shaw's like, she makes a pretty compelling argument. Kate's like, then why are they keeping this away from Monarch? And Kate's like, yes, exactly. If Apex truly believes this is the answer, why keep it a secret? Why not share their success with the world? It makes no sense, Lee. And he's like, because whoever holds the other end of that leash can not only prevent a G-Day, but they can create and pinpoint a G-Day to destroy whatever or wherever the leash holder chooses. And that makes it a weapon that can be sold to the highest bidder. So May walks into, it must be like a command center room. Holland's in there, and she asks, is everything all right? And May says that she told her she needed more time. And she's like, we all need more time, Cora. We make the most of what we got. And the place starts shaking. And then we see like the little critters start crawling out of the cave like before. So it's like, where do these critters come from? Are they laid? Are there eggs there? Are they like cracking through somewhere? Like I don't even know. Kate says it's starting. The critters start swarming out of the cavern. Apex sees the critters they have cameras like set up everywhere, I guess. So they see the critters storming out. A dude says that they're heading straight for the launch zone. Holland says to get everyone out of there. And then they, on the radio, they're evacuate, we'll move out, whatever. Shaw says that if they're going to do this, now's their chance. So they run. In the command center, the alert goes off, detecting motion. And the dude's like, we have a perimeter breach. May watches concerned. So they start like trying to muck with the launch frame thing, like the pillars that Shaw mentioned. Holland's like, when it rains, it pours. And Jason says that they have to get that bird in the air. Shaw yells for everyone to get back inside. And Jason's like, launch. It's like, use it or lose it, boss, or something like that. She's like, go. So Shaw tries like jabbing the drone with like one of the metal like frame pole things or whatever, but then it takes off, and there's like no thrust or anything like that. It must be the wind or something that like knocks him down, because no flames. And the critters start swarming towards him. He scrambles to get up because he got knocked. He fell. The others like made it inside the tavern. They yell to Shaw, but the critters are like he's like running now, and they're running around him. So he actually dives behind that like circular fountain thing that's like in the middle of the town. The critters like scamper over it, and they're not really paying attention to him because they're going straight for the water where Titan X is going to be, and they just kind of like stampede over him, whatever. So then after they're all gone, the others they come out to check on Shaw, and he's pretty banged up. So they help him to get inside, and he's like, oh, watch my leg. So then there's like this big, like it's like kind of like a whale sound, and Kate like stops and looks down the main street to the water. So like that, just like that long stretch that goes to the docks, and then she starts walking like towards the dock, and the Titan is glowing blue. It starts like coming out of the water, and then she just like stands staring at it. So it's like she was able to stare at Kong
wait, was it Kong? Yeah, Kong. Did she stare at Kong and Godzilla? So there must be something. There must be some sort of connection somehow. I don't know. So they start tending to Shaw's leg inside and his wounds or whatever. Hiroshi notices that Kate's not there, so he runs out, and then Titan X roars at Kate. The drone flies towards it, and the Titan like snaps his jaws at it as it flies by. In the command center, they're like, "We lost target. Spin around for another try." Kate's still standing on the docks, and the Titan's just like staring at her, and she starts like walking closer. Hiroshi's like, "Kate, Kate." And she's getting closer to water, and the Titan's head's like kind of lowered, and they're like almost like eye to eye, however but not really because the Titan is so massive. In the command center, May cries out. She's like, "Oh my God!" Jason's like, "What the hell is she doing?" And May's like, "It's like no, we have to stop. Get someone out there." Holland's like, "No. If this works, this is how we save her. This is what we came for, Cora." And then I think it's Jason like, "Drone has acquired hit." Or someone says that, and like, "Fire," or maybe I think Holland said to fire. The missile hits it like a tentacle, and it like latches out and it sends out like a zap of energy or something like that. The Titan kind of screams out in pain, and Kate covers her ears in pain. So I don't know if she's feeling the pain or if the Titan was like screeching so loud, but I feel that there's like some sort of connection there. And again, maybe is this obvious? Am I missing something? Or is it whatever? And Hiroshi like runs over to her. In the command room, they say that they have connection. Jason asks May if they have control now, and she's like, "No, the synaptic link is still uploading." Kate like falls to her knees. Hiroshi's like, I got you, Kate." He's like, "Are you all right?" And he looks up at the Titan. He's like, "Kate, we have to go." Titan just like roars. Holland screams, she's like, "Report!" And there's like intense neural firing in the frontal cortex and the amygdala. This dude says that they've disrupted its somatic responses. Every muscle group is seizing up. And May's looking at her screen. She's like, no. She's like, "Wait." And the screen shows like overload, system overload, like all over the place. It's just across the board. She's like, "The Titan has so many neurons, the feedback loop is causing massive data spikes." And she points to Holland. She's like, "I told you I needed more time." And she's like, "Stop whining about time. Pull it together, Cora." And she's like it's like a two-dimensional villain. It's so like a cartoon villain. May's like, "I told you that we couldn't scale the program to something this big." And she's like, "Fix it now." And she's like, "Are you kidding me? The whole thing is going to crash." In a tavern, Kay's like, "Wait, where's Hiroshi?" So I guess she didn't notice that Kate's missing too. Hiroshi tells Kate, "It's like, we have to run." And she's still like clutching at her head. Hiroshi looks up at the Titan, and the critters are like swarming all over. It's like tentacles. It's still like roaring in pain. The others come outside the town center and see the Titan. Hiroshi yells like they've got to run. So he gets Kate moving. Kentaro sees Kate and Hiroshi running towards him, and Shaw and Kay pull him back. The tentacle with the drone ship is like sparking a little bit, and it slams on his tentacle just behind like where Kate and Hiroshi were. Impact sends them flying. Like one of the buildings gets destroyed or whatever, and the others they get like knocked over as well by like a blast or whatever. The dude in the command center, he cries out, "The signal's dead." He's like, "We lost the data." Holland like looks around at Jason and the rest. She quietly says that it's like, "We have to evacuate." And May screams to the others, she's like, evacuate now, go, come on." And she grabs Holland. She's like, "You are not going down with the ship." She's like, "Come on." Outside, the others see that the Titan is starting to like glow pink. Kate struggles to get up from like under some debris. She goes to her dad. She rolls him over. He's got like some sort of gut wound. There's like blood all over. She takes off her jacket to put pressure on his wound. She calls, it's like, "Somebody help, someone get help." And he just like looks at her and he's like, "Are you okay?" And she screams out, she's like, "Kentaro," she's like, "Get help." Kay and Shaw come over. She keeps asking him to get help. Kentaro like ran off. She tells her, it's like her dad, she's like, "You're gonna be okay." She's like, "I'm gonna get you help." And he whispers like, "I miss so much of your life, so many moments, so many lies." And she says that he's gonna be okay. And he's like, "It's okay." And Kay came and grabbed so she's kind of like cradling like his head. He's like leaning on her lap or something like that. And she is like, "Do you remember our song?" And she starts singing. Kate looks up at her and he tries like singing along and like looking at Kate. Kate's she starts singing too, and finally he like closes his eyes. Kay and Kate both like call, she's like Hiroshi, like that, and to stay awake or whatever. And his eyes are open again. And this is a point where it's like, what are they going to do here in the show? It's like, you can't kill him off because I was like, well, yeah, they can kill him off because, have a big lasting thing. There are threats with these big titans, but it's like there's so much like stuff that needs to be resolved. He wasn't there for his kids, and he got to spend some time with Kentaro. There's still things are shaky with Kate. She was ignoring all his calls when she was in San Francisco, and then now there's the stuff with his mom. He just gets his mom back, and then he reads this letter and he's giving her the cold shoulder. So they have to sort all that stuff out. So his eyes are open. Then he and Kate's eyes are like locked. And he puts his hand on her face. She's starts looking up, like in this, like she's trying to fight back the tears, and then she like looks down, and he's gone. I'm assuming, right? His eyes are closed. Kate like hugs him, like puts her head like on his shoulder, and Kay's like kind of holding them both. Shaw's just sitting there because he's still hurt and there's nothing he can do, and he doesn't want to like intrude on like family stuff. So he said, because he cared about Hiroshi too. He knew him as a kid, and it's all like it's all like super sad. Tim and like Monarch arrived around on shores, and like medics are there or whatever. And Tim's he's actually taking charge and giving out orders, which is nice. Growth for his character. And he says he wants everyone accounted for and all this stuff like that. Holland and May like kind of stand in the wreckage. Jason drives off like in an SUV or whatever. Kentaro runs up saying they need a doctor. Tim's like medic, and Kentaro he returns. He sees them all lying there, so he missed his dad's final moment. And then he just kind of fall, takes a knee or whatever, goes down, and Kay looks up at him like he's just kind of like in shock or whatever, and she like slowly like shakes her head, and then Tim and the medics arrive, and that's it. So he could be dead, but there's always a chance like, oh wait, there's still a pulse. Beep, 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 CPR, resuscitate, whatever. So I don't know. I feel like they did kill him off. I mean, I think the other episode's out now, but I haven't watched it yet. And the thing is, like with stuff like this, I feel like a lot of people kind of gloss over, and I feel like a lot of times we're so desensitized to character deaths. One, because they're just characters or whatever. And I think also because a lot of times someone dies and they come back or whatever, especially like in comic book stuff or in comic books in general. But I sometimes when I think about some of these things, it's just like, you think about like, what is it like if it's someone like if they're dead, that's it. There's going to be no resuscitation or resurrection or whatever. You're never going to be able to talk to this person again. They are gone, and that is it. And that's the things that really gets me thinking. And I feel like The Strangers, chapter 1, 2, and 3, I feel that there's something like that where I don't know, I feel like a lot of people didn't give it a fair shot or whatever, or keep having an open mind. But when you think about the main character, Maya, her boyfriend was killed in front of her. The whole movie, the first movie, they were being terrorized. And then she sees her fiance, her one person that she loves in her life, he gets killed, spoiler, in front of her. And then the next movie and the next movie, they all take place within days. And I don't think people really, you got to think about that. You're carrying that. So the same thing here. If he's gone, there's no going back. Kate can't resolve things with him. Kay can't resolve things. And it's just like, that's it. And then there's the thing, and with Kentaro, there's, I'm sure he still has stuff to deal with as well. Just like he's trying so hard to impress his dad, and Kay's like, does he know that you're proud of him? So, there's unresolved stuff there. And then the fact that he's so smart and he's such an asset in that way, so apart from, just being part of the family. So I do hope that they pull oh, he still got a pulse, whatever. But if not, it's heavy, and it was really sad watching it. Again, maybe I'm just a sucker, I'm just so emotional, but it was a sad moment. So I hope I'm wrong. We'll find out next week. All right, then we have Daredevil, Born Again, Season 2, Episode 2, Shoot the Moon. Oh, this is another show. This one, it's exhausting watching this show sometimes, just because Fisk is just, he's such a piece of crap, and oh man, and just like stuff's going on. Like now we got this task force. It seems kind of familiar, like what's going on here, and just who cares about people's rights, and who cares about the laws? Let's make up our own laws. There's a lot of craziness going on. So let's just get to it. It starts off like someone spray painting like DD like on a wall. So remember last time, it's like this is what I was mentioning. Like what happened with Cherry. He's old, and he even said that he's having a heart attack is what's going on, and there's nothing Matt can do. He was like barely surviving. We see him, he's taken out of his apartment in a gurney with like an oxygen mask or whatever, and he's put in an ambulance. So maybe he's going to survive. I hope he survives. Not just because whatever, but because I feel like he's an important character. And, Matt and Kirsten, it's like they don't have a lot of help or allies, so it's like we need him. So Daredevil's watching from a rooftop, whatever, looking down. Task force agents, they're taken out like in body bags, and Daredevil's holding the knife, like Bullseye's knife. It's like, you would think you would keep it there. I mean, I don't know if the other knives, like what took out the other agents is obvious, but it's like, is Daredevil going to get the blame for this? So he's holding the knife that says, "You're welcome," with the bullseye target in the center, and he's like running his fingers over like the carving. Then in a church, there's a dude standing at the front. This like priest dude or whatever walks up. He's like, "Can I help you?" He says it a couple times. So it's Poindexter, it's Bullseye. He's standing there, and he's like, "There's a nun who works here, Sister Maggie, I think." And the guy's like, "Yes, she's on a sabbatical year in Rome." So then Dex is like, "Father, I need absolution. I betrayed people. I betrayed myself." And the guy's like, "Oh, I'm not technically a priest yet. I can't administer the sacrament of penance, but..." And then, as Dex like turns around, he's like holding a fold up knife or whatever you call it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not too picky," and he like kind of smiles, and then the lighting in the scene kind of goes blue, whatever that means, whatever. We see Fisk, he's doing like a boxing workout with a trainer, and then he kind of loses it. It's like, good. Like then the trainer has to like back away, and so it's like, hey. Buck comes in and says he needs to talk to him. He's like the cop in Hell's Kitchen, talking about Cherry. He's like, "Daredevil was there." So his trainer's like, 30-second break, no more. Got to get you ready for fight night. So he's like, "The cop's in hospital." And Fisk's like, "Good." He's like, "Well, he had a heart attack. 4 task force dead. Daredevil got away. Apparently, someone is helping him. Someone with very good aim." And King Fisk is like, "Poindexter." And then the trainer's like, "You giving up? Not like you, man. Not like you at all. I thought you were tougher than that." And then Fisk is like, "Ah!" And he like charges at him, like hits him. He goes like slams back into a mirror, falls to the floor. There's like, we see like shattered mirror. There's like blood all over it. So there goes your trainer, dude. And then we get the intro to the show. At their hideout, Matt's still like holding the knife and whatever. Karen got off the phone. She tells him he's stable at Metro General, so hopefully he's gonna make it. Matt's like, "But the task force can still get to him there." She's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I'll get eyes on him." And then she's like, Why the hell was Bullseye even there?" He's like, "I don't know. He could have killed me like the task force." Karen's like, "But he didn't. So what is that? Is he just crazy, or does he have a reason?" And Matt's like, "Well, killing task force only helps Fisk, right? He's saying I'm a terrorist, so each body Poindexter drops is just another hung on me." And she's like, "Yeah," and it pisses off Fisk. So that's like 2 birds, 1 bullet. Matt's like, "Right, but he doesn't want me dead." And she's like, "Well, I don't give a poop. He killed Foggy. I hope these task force psychos put a bullet in his head." And he's like, "Karen, that's not helping." And she's like, "Yeah, well, I imagine you feel the same." And she's like, "Poindexter aside, I want to take down Fisk before there's any more collateral damage." And Matt's like, "Okay, we proved the mayor was smuggling guns." She's like, "Right." And Matt's like, "Try and get the feds file a case." And she's like, "Mm-hmm."
He's like, that at least gets him out of City Hall. And she's like, we can hope. And he's like, the task force shook down Cherry once they found Northern Star's captain, which means the first mate's still out there. We need to get to Ariana. And she's like, so which one of us is going to Astoria? And he's like, how about both? Then we see there's several task force officers are at that Greek cuisine restaurant, and the owner, Ariana, she's like taken out in handcuffs. So they're too late. In Fisk's office, Buck talks to him. It's, if I may add a thought about Daredevil, you know, you would have much more influence over the situation if you let it be known that he and Matt Murdock are one and the same. And Fisk is like, no. I want to quash this idiocy, not stoke it. Daredevil, he's an easy sell as an enemy of the people. But Matt Murdock? No. A blind man who saved my life? I don't think so. He saved my life. Then the next scene, so in the office, there's like a microphone hanging over him. There's like a camera, they're setting it up, and they're telling him like whenever he's ready. So he records. As you know, months ago, there was an attempt on my life by the masked vigilante known as Bullseye.
But it's like, wait, he wasn't wearing a mask. Has he ever worn a mask? I don't know. Maybe. But he wasn't wearing a mask. He was dressed like an officer or whatever.
And he's like, we have reason to believe that Matt Murdock, the lawyer from Hell's Kitchen, survived the attack on his apartment. This is important because Matt Murdock is, a hero. He risked his life to save mine.
And we see like Matt and Karen are like, and sort of in disguise. She's wearing a wig and stuff like that. He just has a hoodie on and glasses. It's like not much of a disguise. But people are like, their phones start buzzing, and then there's a missing sign for Matt Murdock with like 3 pictures of him. And he's like, I don't know if he's like listening, but Kingpin continues. He's like, he risked his life to save mine only to be targeted by the same vigilantes that threaten our way of life. He could be hurt. And like more posters are going up.
He may not know who he is.
Karen's like, we need to get you out of here now.
Fisk is like, help find Matt Murdock, New York. Let's bring this hero home.
And then it's like kind of a weird smile pause. He's just so awkward, which is his character. Then there's a BB report. So what do you think of the Northern Star? And this one lady's like, the boat that capsized in the river? It's like, what a mess. It's like, how are you going to clean that up? She's like, I don't know. If you ask me, Daredevil did it. Or one of those other crazies. It's like, this resistance with the graffiti, look around. What are they resisting? I've been here 30 years. New York's never been this nice. Then we see that the Mayor Kingpin video that we saw last season.
It's like, looks like I spoke too soon. Someone caught me. Spoiled again by that dastardly do-gooder. It's like, I'll get him in the end.
So it's in like Daniel's office. He's just got like basement office or something like that. Sheila asks him if the mayor's seen this, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I mean, it's pretty underground, but these drops, they show up on socials and then they disappear. It's like gorilla poop. So Sheila's like, let me rephrase that. Are you going to show it to the mayor? And he's like, yeah, I probably should, but he's not going to like that mask. And she's like, no, he's not. He's like, these blips, they're unsubstantiated. They're only rumor, right? The Bulletin, the other majors, they're not picking it up. I don't think we should give it any oxygen. And she's like, who else had access to this footage? He's like, Buck, you, Fisk, probably Powell. And she was like, you? He's like, yeah, me. And she's like, is it on your laptop? He's like, hell no. She's like, I wouldn't do that, Sheila. And she's like, show it to him. He's not a fan of surprises, but let's be honest. This is not just bad PR, and it's coming from inside this building. And Danny's like, track the dark web. And she's like, if it's just a leak, find it, plug it, and we move on. It's going to be okay. He's like, thanks, Sheila. He's like, look, I know I can be an ass. I know we've had our differences, but I really do respect your advice. And she's like, I appreciate that, Bubba. Just try and take it once in a while. And she like walks out. And as soon as she leaves, he like opens his laptop, clicks. He has like he does have the file on his laptop. He drags the footage like into the trash, and then he, there's like Daredevil punching the camera or whatever, and he's like, fudge me, and like closes it and just like puts his hands on his face.
At their hideout, Matt's like, kind of brilliant, isn't it? Fisk not outing me this way. He gets all the people who support vigilantes searching for Matt Murdock and their haters searching for Daredevil. And she's like, yeah, well, you're wanted by both sides now. So Powell, like talking to Fisk, he said that they tripled their security personnel there and at Gracie. He's like, it's not my call to tell you to lay low from public appearances, even with that fight next week. But when you or Mrs. Fisk are on a move, you're going to have 2 full, close protection details. He's like, I'll volunteer for one of them personally. Fisk says that, he has Buck to augment his usual detail, and Powell's like, sure, no flies on Mr. Cashman, but listen, Poindexter's no joke. It's like, that guy took a shot at you while there's 30 of us in the room. But it's like, I feel like that's more a dig at them. So, like, what are they going to do? There's 30 of them, and they couldn't do anything. So he's like, you're only here because of that Rick lawyer, but he didn't call him a Rick. It was a Rick with another letter in front of Rick. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, you're not much of a politician, are you, Powell? And he's like, I say it like I see it, sir. It's like, well, here's to that. Clink. They drinking whiskey or bourbon or something. And he's like, Murdoch's an a-hole. It's like, you want him treated like gold? You got it. Bullseye, if he tried to kill you once, he'll try again. It's like, my guys know not to fudge around. And this is where it's like, do you even hear what you're saying? Because he's like, they see him, they'll kill him. Same with Daredevil. So it's like, okay, you're just going to straight up murder someone because, no due process or anything like that, just murder. And it's like, Daredevil, what crimes has he committed? He's a vigilante, so you're going to murder him. And it's like, okay. It's like, are you basically saying, yes, I am evil and I am going to kill because I am evil and I embrace being evil? Do people, because I always wonder what people who are evil, like the bad guys, do they a lot of times, like Fisk to some extent, maybe I could be wrong. I feel like they think that they're entitled to certain things. They feel that they're doing the right thing or what needs to be done or whatever. But it's like, no, you are an evil scumbag. He's got to know he's an evil scumbag, right? I don't know. So Fisk is like, your dedication is impressive. And he's like, no, I owe that red piece of poop for what he did to my guys. He's like, you just want to know if you go down like that, whether someone's going to get payback for you. That's how it works, sir. Yes, it is. Murdoch's friend, the ex-cop. He's like, Cherry, yeah, I understand. He's at Metro General. And Powell's like, yeah, I'm on it. I got a couple other things too. I'll put Matt Murdock in this office, and I'll put Daredevil's head on a fudge and spike. And Fisk kind of like looks to the side because like obviously can't do both. He's like, either of those would be sufficient. He's like, well, I like to shoot the moon, sir, which is the name of the episode, minus the sir. Out in the hall, Powell sees Cole. So like that guy from last, he survived. So the dude with, he have like really like blue sparkly eyes or whatever? Yeah, so Powell tells the 3 other agents to give a moment. He goes up to Cole. So his face is like scarred up and stuff like that. He's like, what are you doing here? And Cole's like, I went back in, man. I need to be back on the task force. And Powell's like, yeah, okay. Chuckles like, you got to heal, man. And he points his face like, this is as good as it's going to get for me, man. He's like, look, after what they've done, not just to me, like fudge the vigilantes. I'm owed some get back, brother. Now, how many people died in that a-hole lawyer's place? He's like, 7. Well, it's like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be attacking a lawyer. It's your fault for being there. And he's like, 7, exactly. I'm fudging sure, man. I'm ready. He's like, okay, sure, yeah. Welcome back, brother. He's like, let's go to work. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing, but maybe it'll be a bad thing and work to our advantage. So a couple agents go down the hall at the hospital. There's a couple police officers standing outside Cherry's room. So one task force dude, his name is Bob, he tells them, he's like, you can call it a day. And one officer says, yeah, but we were told to. He's like, look, I'm telling you to get lost. Inside, there's some people in there. They're like, it's okay. Don't do anything and get yourself in trouble. So the agent comes in, he looks at the other dudes there and he chuckles. He's like, what the fudge is this? Jurassic Park? Because there's a bunch of like retired officers or whatever. Angie's there too, the detective, whatever. They're like, or she's like, we're visiting an old friend. And this one dude, McDaniel, he's like, nice vest. He's like, you gonna start wearing your underwear on the outside too? The second agent, he's like, get out. And McDaniel like stands up. Then the first agent, Bob, he says, he's like, get some backup. And McDaniel's like, yeah, Danny said he'd stop in. And Angie's like, Roxanne too. Have her bring some Lombardis. And Cherry's like, you know how bored these guys are? You know how many more of them there are out there? So basically saying that, okay, you're going to have so many like retired police officers that are going to be here. You're not just going to be able to do whatever you want. So then Bob, he's like, we'll be back. And McDaniel says, it's like, we'll be here. He's like, you bringing a pizza or should we have Roxanne do it? The second agent like curses, they leave. In the elevator, the second agent, he's like, God, I hate those little penis heads. And Bob, the other guy, chuckles. He's like, remember McDaniel? They're like, oh yeah, I remember McDaniel. Word is, he was North's TO. And he's like, you're kidding me. And he's like, nope. And then it's like a weird angle, like kind of like the camera's like really low looking up. And then you see the ceiling panel in the elevator, like car opens up. And then chick, chick, doors open. They're like standing there. They like crumple down. And then there's like holes on the top of their head. Then a man clad in black with a mask on, he jumps down. It's Bullseye. He's got like weapons strapped to him and stuff like that. And then they keep doing this. It's like what's the meaning? The elevator car, like the light in there turns blue because that's when we know it's like, oh, Bullseye was here. Everything's blue. And he like walks over them. The elevator doors like try closing, but they can't because they're like stuck there. Powell and two others are marching down the hall. They're like, fudge, did Cherry nose blasted too? Powell goes inside the room. It's empty. And he chuckles. He comes out. He's like, he's fudging gone. Fisk's on the phone. It seems this is turning into guerrilla warfare. And then you're like, so what is this? Poindexter freelancing? Or is he in this resistance BS? Fisk's like, without vigilantes, there is no resistance. Destroy one and you destroy the other. And Powell, Vanessa's hosting a dinner at the mansion tonight. And he's like, yeah, copy that, sir. I already sent over 4 more units, or whatever. They talk somewhere to call-ins. Fisk looks down at his desk. There's a death report on the police chief that he had killed. I forgot his name. It might have been made to look like a car accident because he like smashed his head. He like just squeezed it. But there's like, it looks like a shot of like a smashed car or something like that. Daniel's sitting in Fisk's office. He stares at the photo. And then Fisk is like, they say that driving is the most dangerous after it rains. The collected oil, bits of rubber, more slippery than ice. You're not ready for it, and you spin out of control. Then he sets a tablet down, like on top with the Mayor Kingpin video. The things that can damage us most are the ones we're least prepared for, aren't they? So Daniel sighs. He's like, poop. He's like, I should have brought this to you sooner. I just, I wanted to get more information before coming to you because Daniel, this person's mocking me. Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir. They found this on Commissioner Gallo's body. So there's a card with like a drawing of Fisk, and it says like "City Without Fear," like that's like the Twitter handle or something like that. And it's like a little bloody on the edge. He puts it in Daniel's like suit pocket. Do you remember when I told you if you ever betray me, it'll be the last thing you ever did? He's like, yeah, I do. I wouldn't. I swear, Mayor Fisk. Daniel, you are the deputy mayor of communications. Find out how inside information is ending up in here is your responsibility. He's like, yes. And he's like, do we understand each other? Absolutely, sir. 100%. It's completely my fault. Good. I have 2 questions. Do you have any idea where the leak came from? He's like, no, honestly, sir, I don't. Is there anyone in this building you feel the need to protect? He's like, yeah, you. And then Fisk, he like leans forward, puts his hand on Daniel's shoulder. Good answer. Buck is with Vanessa, showing her like some fancy guns, they're like in cases. And she says that, or he says that she doesn't need it, of course. She has the finest security the city can afford. And then she asks if he's ever been in the same room with Benjamin Poindexter. Not the ballroom, but up close personal. He's like, no, ma'am. And she says that she has. And she's like, I wouldn't call this a need, more like a well thought out want. And he's like, And then she like holds a gun, points it to like a statue bust. And Buck's like, good choice. So someone's looking through binoculars. We see like a cleanup crew on the water. There's workers and agents on the ship, and a crate's being moved. It opens, like the bottom like spills out, like some stuff drops out. Karen and Matt are watching, so they're looking in the binoculars. She sighs. She's like, it's diapers. Matt chuckles. He's like, yeah. It's like, they weren't on the ship with me. It's just a show. She's like, well, it's a good one. So, local salvage company, union workers. It'd be a good headline. It's very voter friendly. Matt's like, so what happens when they think no one's watching? Fisk is getting suited up. Vanessa says that she doesn't understand why he would take such a risk on the Northern Star. And he says he believes that he can do more good than just New York. And she says that he has built an empire that will be remembered. He's like, will it? New Yorkers have a short memory. But yes, it's true. We have built something generational here, Vanessa. And she's like, without an heir, we've always been enough for each other. Yes. Have you ever considered that with all that we have and all that we've done, that we're obligated to make a global impact? And she's like, how many more worlds do you need to conquer? He's like, how many are there? So then it's like night. Matt and Karen are still hiding out by the docks. And she says, she's like, this shipment is definitely not diapers. And she curses. She says there's task force everywhere. Matt says that the place is like a black hole. If Fisk gets those gun off the boat into the Red Hook, they disappear. So they don't have a trace anymore. They have to get into the port. And Karen's like, no, that's suicide. And he's like, it's our only shot at Fisk. They might not get another. In the city, Hector Ayala, the White Tiger, Hector Ayala, his sister, and I forget if it's his daughter or his niece. Was it his daughter? They see like a Matt missing poster. So Angela, she's like, I hope they find him. And Hector's sister, so it's Angela's aunt, says that she does too, because he's a good man. She's like, he tried. And then Soledad, that's her name. So Soledad says that sometimes she wonders if Angela's, or was it her, or maybe it was her uncle too. So who the heck is Angela's parents? Because was it her Tio Hector? Or maybe is Soledad his wife? I don't remember. You know who I'm talking about. But she wonders if Hector never put on the White Tiger mask, maybe everything would be different. And Angela's like, no, it's like he had to. It was who he was. It's like if everyone is too scared to be a hero, then we'd have none. And she'd be dead. Because, Angela almost died. She was saved. So they go into like a bodega. There's 3 boys that know Angela in there. Because like one grabs like a bottle of beer and puts in his coat. This other boy asks Angela, like, why are you so boring? And she rips into one of them about their shoes and stuff like that. He's like, I didn't even say anything. And then Soledad is like, put that back. And the kid's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he calls her a crazy old lady, like in Spanish. And she says again, in Spanish, to put it back. And he I think he tells her to get out of there. They're only fudging around or whatever. And she says that if he steals, the store raises prices. And then they got a drunk kid messing around the street. And then the kid tells her in English to mind her own business. So they're arguing. And then the store owner, he cocks like a shotgun. And the kid gets scared. He drops the bottle. So then Soledad, she tells the owner, Berto, to calm down. And he says that he's tired of kids stealing, whatever. He's like, look what they're doing. Then he starts telling him, he's like, clean it up. It's like, it's not your house. And, Soledad's trying to get him to put down the gun. And then a task force officer comes in, knocks Berto, the store owner, down. And he says something about like, taking the law into his own hands. He's like, he's protecting his store. So then he goes after the kid. Soledad's, so he's like stopping him because the kid's like on the floor or whatever. And then she like grabs his arm, and the agent like looks at her like grabbing his arm. And he's like, that's assaulting an officer. And it's like, oh my gosh, you big baby. It is not. So, he's like, you're coming with me. And Angela starts like protesting. Soledad's taking out with the store owner, and the kid. There's people outside, they notice. They start like yelling. Some people cover their faces, they're filming. And, they're like, what are you doing? And people are yelling and stuff like that. Soledad tells Angela, she's like, get home safely. Which is weird because this other agent's like holding Angela back. So I was like, surprisingly, they don't grab her too. But so then the 3 are put into a transport truck. People like start throwing bottles and cans and stuff like that, like flipping them off, and they drive off. Then we see Heather. She's talking at the Vanessa's dinner thing. And she's like, a lot is said about a person's mental health. But what about a city's? The randomness of a horrific crime, a stranger pushing another in front of a train, a self-proclaimed artist murdering innocent people. How do we collectively heal from these horrors? It's like, whatever, Heather. Later, Vanessa tells her, like, you don't have to go solo to these things. And she's like, how did things, how did you and Mr. Murdoch leave things? And Heather's like, not well. And she's like, Matt was in place before he got shot. He has very strong feelings about your husband. And Vanessa's like, Mr. Murdoch was always a champion of vigilantes. My husband, not so much. Heather's like, do you think Frank Castle or Daredevil killed Matt? And she's like, no, I don't. Is my husband overworking you? And Heather's like, no, not really. Vigilante trials are coming up, so. And Vanessa's like, must be hard to get into the head of those people. Heather's like, sometimes it's a little too easy. That's the scary part. And Vanessa, then she like suddenly looks out the window, and Heather's like, something wrong? And she's like, no. Then Heather's like, that thing, right? That sudden cold feeling. My grandma used to say, that's a goose walking over your grave. And Vanessa like chuckles. And it turns out Bullseye's out there watching. He doesn't do anything, and then he just like leaves. Kirsten is in her office, her law office. There's like a thud, some noise or something like that. Then she gets up. She's like, hello? And there's no answer. She grabs a baseball bat in her office. She calls out again, nothing. And then it turns out it's Angela. She's like, how did you get in here? And she's like, hey, what happened? And Angela's like, they took her. They took my tia. So Kristen like pulls her into a hug. And she's like, I'll start checking the jails. And Angela's like, no, that won't work. The task force took her, and people usually disappear. Kristen like curses. Then Angela sees the box. She's like, that's it, isn't it? She's like, can I see it? So it's Heather's stuff, including like the amulet. So Kristen's like, Soledad didn't want it. And Angela's like, I'm not surprised. Hard to be a hero these days. So then BB goes to Daniel's, but then he made her like some dinner. And she's like, I thought we were editing the BB report. He's like, it's a working dinner. And he said he made it himself and stuff like that. And he says he's not much of a cook, but he followed like recipes and that. And he says that it's for getting his place clean and some other stuff. And because they both know he wouldn't have made deputy mayor without her help. And she's like, well, we helped each other. And she takes a bite. She's like, this is great. Wow. And he's like, well, I'm glad you like it because we have some things to figure out. Sheila knocks on Fisk's office door. She has like some files or something like that. He's not there, so she's going to put it on his desk, but the police chief's like file's still on top. And of course, as soon as she like touches it to open it, Fisk is standing behind her. So it's like, is he like a freaking cat or something? Or did he just teleport there? Because like all of a sudden he's there, and he's like, "Were you looking for me?" And she gets like startled. Daniel puts down the card for the City Without Fear thing from the police chief. And he asks BB if she knows what that is. She's like, yeah, some crazy poop. Weird mask with Daredevil on the boat. And Danny's like, that video, it came from inside the mayor's office, maybe even off my laptop. And BB's like, okay. He's like, what are you asking? He's like, don't fudge with me, BB. You burned me bad with that mayor garbage leak. And she's like, okay, that was then, this is now. It's not, it's not me, seriously. And Danny's like, I get it. You're a journalist. I'm a schmuck from Staten. But if you're leaking stuff, anything, stop. It's no game. You could get hurt. Like, we could get hurt. And BB's like, you're scared of him, aren't you? Fisk says, politics is a brutal business, isn't it? And Sheila doesn't say anything. And he's like, Gallo was a good man. We didn't always see eye to eye, but I'll miss him. It's like, dude, you freaking squeezed his head and killed him. Danny was like, I'm just being smart. And she's like, well, I wouldn't blame you if you were. I mean, you had to have asked yourself, what if the rumors are true about Gallo, about my uncle? He's like, come on, BB. He's like, let's look at this. Life is good. I don't know, like integrity can cost. Sometimes it's better not to know or ask. Fisk is like, you did the right thing, Miss Sheila. Can I walk you out? And she's like, yeah. So then Danny's like, if you're leaking stuff, just stop, please. And she just like looks at him. At Josie, Matt and Karen have a drink with Josie, and she says that before like the three of them were like the heart of it, so it's foggy. Then Matt's like listening to something outside. There's some cars honking. He like whispers Josie's name. Then they hear car doors open and close. Karen looks concerned. Lights shine in. Josie like walks towards the door with a bat. She opens the door. It's Angie and like the detective, and she's like with one of the officers that was at the hospital room. So Angie says, she's like, oh, we just wanted to check on you. It's like, maybe some people are worried about Cherry. And she's like, don't be. He's safe. And she's like, take care. Lock your doors. Fisk is hunting. Resist. Rebel. Then we see like another Mayor Kingpin video. And there's like, the random edit shots, 2 hands, red pill, blue pill. So then he sits behind his desk. It's me again, Mayor Kingpin, here to give you a better, more beautiful New York. And there's like shots of the task force, like in action and all the chaos and everything. He's like, without the riffraff messing up our city, I promised you a safer city, and look how safe I'm making it, rounding up all the vigilantes, like hiding in plain sight, as random people I just don't like. And we see like some people like random person X, and then there's actually shot of Soledad's like teacher maybe, and there's like bodega guy X, all these people are with all your childhood dogs on a farm upstate. He's like, and for you rebels, the more you resist, the more you rebel. It hurts my feelings. And then there's like wah, wah, like baby crying emoji over his face. It's like, there's nothing to worry about. I'm keeping you safe. Because remember, I love you, New York. I'm Mayor Fisk, and I approve this lie. I mean, message. Then we see him like sitting in a room with the camera on him. So he gets up, goes over to the camera, turns it off, takes off the mask, and it's BB. She's filming it. Vanessa wakes up during the night. Fisk is next to her. She sits up. There's like a blue rose like on her nightstand. She gets out of bed, and then she's suddenly holding a gun and walking outside in the park. And then like a baseball lands, and she sets a pen down on a sheet of paper. She's like, I know why you're hunting me. And then we see like Dex is standing there holding a gun, and he's like out of focus. And then gun fires, she wakes up for real, like with start. Fisk wakes up too, and he's like, are you okay? But then now the rose is red, not blue. Matt and Karen lie in bed, and she's like, I don't know how to get you into Red Hook. You're right, it's a black hole. And Matt's like, there has to be a way. And she's like, well, I'd prefer one where you get out alive. And Matt's like, yeah, me too. With Fisk, he's like, it's going to be okay. What's on your mind? And she says that she hopes that one day they find everything they want, someplace beautiful. And he's like, where would that place be? And he's like, New York is our home. And she's like, no, you are my home. Karen asks Matt, it's like, you ever think that we'd end up in here? And Matt's like, there are worse places. And Karen's like Brooklyn? They both laugh. Matt's like, I like Brooklyn. And she's like, oh yeah? Vanessa says that they still own the island. When was the last time that they were there? And he says, I hate the feeling of sand between my toes. So it's like, okay, Anakin Skywalker. And he says he did like it there, though. He's like, anywhere with her. He's like, do you really think that we could thrive outside all of this? And she's like, I do. I have to. And Matt's like, I do miss my records, though. And she's like, hold that thought. And she gets up, she puts some music on, and she's like, Viva la Resistance. Fisk and Vanessa are just sitting on their bed. Then Matt and Karen are slow dancing. Then he hears something. He tells Karen to hold on, and there's like kind of the bangs, high-pitched ringing. He goes down like a pain. This is the anti-vigilante task force. We have you surrounded. Come out or we'll be forced to remove you. So there's like vehicles outside with like speakers attached, and they're pulling people out of buildings. Vigilantism will not be tolerated in this city. But they're just like pulling everyone out. This is like so ridiculous. They start pulling Josie out, Karen and Matt. They go up like a ladder. Then we see Daredevil rappels down the building, starts attacking the agents, with his baton, takes out the speakers. He tells Josie to get someplace safe. An officer inside is like, you hear him like, clear every floor. And the agent sees Karen in an alley, and he's like, whoa, whoa. And she starts like attacking him. She takes him down. Daredevil goes in the bar. There's 2 agents inside. He like shoots a line past them, and then like pulls himself like forward, like sliding on the ground, knocks the feet out of one guy, gets up, takes the other guy down, and then he's like beating on them with like their own rifle. There's 2 others. They hear the sound of the music from where they're at, and there's like this kind of like secret door, like a hole in the wall, whatever, behind this like cabinet door. So Daredevil like jumps in after him. One like shoots, but then he knocks the gun and shoots like at the ceilings and hits some of Karen's like wig mannequins. They continue fighting. Daredevil, he gets hit a couple times, but then he grabs like one of their rifles, like with a light. He like shines it in their face, and they kind of like freeze. He does this like weird smile. So he's like fighting him. He's using a rifle to like hit and block whatever. He takes some more hits and stuff like that. Finally, he takes them out. And he like grabs one guy by the back of the head and like slams his head like into this big wooden pole. And he starts like, Karen. And he's like breathing so heavy. It's like, I hope you can hear that if there's anyone else around. Then we see Daredevil's like sitting out in the shadows, and Karen comes down some stairs and they hug. He's like, where were you? And she's like, I know. Just come on. He's like, what happened? She's like, I have something to show you. They go down some halls. They go into a room. He's like, what did you do? And she's like, they're hunting us. Maybe it's time we started hunting them. And the agents that she fought in the alley, he's like tied up on like a chair with a bag over his head. And that is the end of episode 2. So, like I said, there is a third episode. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to promise that next week I'll cover 2 episodes because we also have other shows coming up. But we'll see. But oh my goodness, this show it's like stressful. It's like ugh. So that was Daredevil. All right, and now the movie feature is it's weird. Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's weird that they put the movie in there. They didn't for Super Mario Brothers, right? No, I guess they did. Super Mario Brothers movie. I guess that makes sense because if you just say Super Mario Brothers, you're going to assume you're talking about the video game or the franchise. And if you say Super Mario Galaxy, you're going to assume people are talking about the game. So I get it, whatever. I don't like it, but I get it. Now, man, these movies, oh my gosh, I struggle. There's like such a dilemma with these movies. I love Mario. I love Super Mario Brothers. I mean, because this goes back. Yes, I am old, and I'm not trying to brag or this or that or whatever, but when the Nintendo NES first came out, you had Super Mario Brothers, and such a simple game compared to like so many of the other cool like N64, even like on the Game Boy, man. Super Mario Land, those games are so good. So I really love the franchise, and so there's part nostalgia, and Mario 64. These games are just so good, and so just bright and colorful, and just a classic scrolling, the gameplay, everything. So when it comes to these movies, man, I want to like these movies so badly, but I don't. And I joke around about Chris Pratt. I don't mind him that much. I don't think he should voice Mario or Garfield, or I don't even know who else he's voicing, but it's like, come on. It's like they got like such a great, it's such an insult to who is voicing Mario for the game. Why would you not get, why wouldn't you get that? Are people going to go see, who's going to go see, oh, Chris Pratt is voicing Mario, let's go see that. No one, Howard... And when I look at the cast, I'm like, oh wait, this person's here. This person, they get all these stars, these celebrities to voice the characters. Am I wrong? Are people going to see these movies because of celebrities? Yes, you can get the celebrities to post about it. I mean, I like Brie Larson. I am not a Brie Larson hater, but you have Brie Larson raving about Mario and the movie and everything like that. So yeah, I get it that maybe like her fans, her audience, people are like, oh, I love Brie Larson. Let's go see this movie to support her, see what's going on. Or she's in it. She thinks it's cool. Maybe we should, So maybe there's some of that. But who are these movies made for? Because I'll say it right now. This movie was not great. And there are a lot of Easter eggs. You got the Easter eggs to make the gamers happy, or I don't even want to just say gamers, the fans happy. So I don't know. I feel like something like Super Mario Brothers is so well known, such a huge franchise. Even if you look at like Mario Kart like is a huge thing. I feel like maybe I could be totally wrong because I'm so out of touch with video games these days. It's so sad. It bums me out. But I feel like Mario Kart has like a more mainstream appeal to non Mario fans, maybe
because Mario Kart has such great gameplay. Like the games have always been so good. So I'm sure a lot of people have played them, even if they don't necessarily know who Yoshi is or Toad or whatever. But I could be wrong. I just do not believe you need to have all these stars. Some of the other voice actors do a great job, but I don't know. It just seems like such an insult, and I don't want to say it's unnecessary. I'm not saying that they should lose their jobs, but the actual voice actors are losing their jobs. It just seems weird. I mean, I would be pissed off. like let's say they're going to make us I almost said Supermassive podcast. That's so long ago. Well, if they're going to make a random podcast from Heck movie, and then they cast someone else, it's like, what are you talking about? That would be a boring movie. So we got this movie. Now, here's the other thing. Again, I'm not just being a hater, because the movie came out Wednesday. Tuesday night, pre-sales went up for Super Mario Galaxy 4K Steelbook, because often the pre-sales will go up the day before, like, the preview movies come out, or sometimes it's like preview night or something, whatever. It's usually like the day before. So pre-orders came up. I don't love the design. I get what the design is based off of Princess Rosalina's like diary, her book thing. Cool, whatever. There's a reason for that. I just feel like they could have done something really cool. And this is why I never bought the first Mario Steelbook before, because the main cover was the question mark was one of the blocks. And then they later did, I don't know if it was, I feel like it was exclusive to someone. I don't know if it was Walmart, then it went wide or something like that, where it's just like a mushroom. Again, just plain, it's not great. But what I ended up doing late at night, it was like 1 a.m. or whatever, I pre-ordered Super Mario Galaxy Steelbook, and because the Mushroom Steelbook was still available, I ordered that too, so I'm going to get that any day now. I have not seen the first Mario movie since it came out, since I saw it in the theaters, and I didn't love it, but I really, really want to. But they're not good. They're not great. I mean, they're not horrible. They're fine, but there's just stuff that whatever. Okay, so let's back up. The first Super Mario Brothers movie, or the current, not the first one with Bill Hodgkins. What's his name? Hoskins? Not that one. And Leguizamo? No. Super Mario Brothers movie, Rotten Tomatoes scores of 59%, popcorn meters 95. Super Mario Galaxy movie, right now, so this is still early, this is probably going to change, I don't know which way it's going to go, 42% critics and 90% popcorn meter. So it's lower. It had a bigger opening than the first one. I mean, we're kind of just jumping or whatever to this part. So it has, it made $34 million on its first day, which the predecessor made $31.7 million. So it made more money. And maybe because you have like Screen X showings, and I don't know if there's any, I don't think there's IMAX, which I saw it in Screen X, so I can talk about that too. I got to remember to talk about that. It has a 5-day domestic, because it opened on a Wednesday. It's like, why is it opening Wednesday? It's like, there's no holiday or anything now. Wait, when's Easter? That's not, I mean, with spring breaks coming, but, so we got 5-day, they're predicting it right now, it's still early in the weekend, really early. They're predicting it 160 million 5-day domestic with a total of 350 million worldwide. So 350 million, it has a $110 million budget, so it's probably gonna be profitable or break even at the least. It'll probably go over that, because if it has to make 3 times its budget, we're talking 330 million, right? If I'm doing my math. Oh, and then so adding to this, again, we're just jumping all over. So we got Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy. Charlie Day is Luigi, they're back. Jack Black is Bowser.
But thank goodness for like a chunk of the movie, Bowser was miniaturized, so it's like you couldn't. Maybe it was still Jack Black, like on helium or something like that. But you didn't get so much like annoying Jack Black. And then Benny Safdie as Bowser Jr. I don't know who that is, and that's because I just don't know anyone. He was in Heaven Knows What, Good Time, Uncut Gems. I didn't see any of those. Okay, and then we got Donald Glover as Yoshi, and Glenn Powell is Fox McCloud, Star Fox. Brie Larson, Princess Rosalina, Louise Guzman as Wart. I thought I recognized his because like a lot. Then this thing, a lot of times I forget, like Keegan Michael Kay. I forget that he's in a movie. He's Toad. Yeah. So Kevin Michael Richardson, Kamak. So we got all these people. I'm curious. It's $110 million budget. How much was spent on the cast? I'm sure you're paying them less because it's just voice acting, and that's insulting. I shouldn't say just voice acting because that's a whole other thing. I have huge respect for voice actors, which is why it pisses me off that you get these celebrities, these non-voice. Maybe some of them do voice acting on other things. Chris Pratt does it because he does everything now, but you got these other people that is their job. They are that they do that. It's a different thing, and not that an actor can't do voice acting, but there's a little difference because with voice acting, you have to put it all in your performance. Like this is the problem I had with Undertone. I feel like when the character was talking to her friend on the phone, I feel like he was being too vocal, too animated. It didn't sound natural because he was like trying to make it sound more because he's trying to act in the audio with that's and again, I don't know who it was. I'm not trying to insult anyone, but I'm using this as an example. But it's like, a trained, an actual voice actor should know that, okay, what are you doing? I'm acting as a voice on a phone versus I'm acting as a character doing this or whatever. So I don't know. I feel there's a difference there. But we have all that. And then just to say some other things about these movies. So it's directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelinek. I'm pretty sure I've interviewed both of them. I know I've interviewed Michael Jelinek. They both have been heavily involved with Teen Titans Go. I absolutely love Teen Titans Go. That show, I find is hilarious. I love the cast. The cast is awesome. They're always so much fun every time I've been able to interview them. But guess what? Those interviews you can't see them anymore. I don't know if I have any on my YouTube channel. No, I do have some on my YouTube channel from the Teen Titans movie. But I've interviewed them so many times for like during seasons, and it's always been such a blast. They're just hilarious, and they're just so kind. And this is a type where I'm such a tangent, but a lot of times when you're in the press rooms, it's like you can feel when they like want to be there, when they're happy to talk to us. Who are we doing this? There was one time I'll never forget. I've probably mentioned before. There was one dude doing interviews holding up his cell phone and just like holding arms stretched out with like Kari Payton, like whatever. It's like, no, you can't do a video, or you can't do an interview holding a cell phone selfie style. But anyways, so the Teen Titans Go, great. I love it. These guys, but they were like showrunners. They're so heavily involved with Teen Titans Go, and just the humor, just the jokes and just the flow and directing the voice. I mean, they did such an amazing job. I know it got a lot of flack, especially in the beginning, because people liked the original Teen Titans cartoon. But there's a reason that Teen Titans Go has like so many episodes, been on like, was it 11 seasons or some crazy thing? I don't know. But what is it about these Mario movies that just don't work? And it's a different type of humor. Now, here's the thing. So with Super Mario Galaxy, I haven't even talked about what the movie's about, and I don't know if I really need to, but I'll touch on it a little bit. With this movie, I feel like
which there's a lot of cool moments, but that's kind of what the movie just was. It was just like some cool moments. Yes, there's a story involved, but a lot of times it's like, wait, why are we here now? What's going on? And one of the things is like, it would have helped if I watched the first one, because I'm watching this, I'm like, wait, aren't Mario and Luigi from like the quote unquote real world? And it's like, don't they have like, aren't they like limited to like actual regular like physics and gravity? But then how can they jump and punch and stuff like that. How can they go like flying so high up? It's one thing they're constantly taking mushrooms or the magic boxes, but it's like normally it's like, how are they doing all this? They're just regular plumbers. And I was like, what's going on? And then when you got like Bowser Jr., he's got like this big alien space. Where the heck did he get this ship from? Where did he get the money to build this ship? He's got like, he makes a whole planet called Bowser World or whatever it was called. And it's like, where did he come from? Wait, and the other thing, if there's a Bowser Jr., who the heck is Bowser Jr.'s mom? And if there is a Bowser Jr.'s mom, then why is Bowser so hung up on Princess Peach? And when did that happen? I still refuse to believe that Bowser is crushing massively on Princess Peach. Yes, he kidnapped her in the games, whatever. Was there ever any love feeling in any of the games? No, he was just a jerk. He's just trying to kidnap the princess because that's what you do if you're a bad guy. I don't know. As I watch these movies, plural, I realize, and this is kind of a bummer for me, I realize I don't know as much about Super Mario Brothers world as I thought I did. Because I'm not a gamer. I no longer am a gamer. Can't even be remotely considered that. I don't even play video games, just because I'm pissed off at the prices of the consoles and at the fact that I could not buy PlayStation 5 when it first came out, so I gave up, and I just don't have time. And yes, I know Mario's not PlayStation 5. So I could still get a Wii. I thought about it, but yeah, I don't. I should. My daughter has not a Wii, a Switch. My daughter has a Switch. I don't think she really plays often. There's times I'm like, dude, you want me to give you some money? I'll buy it off you. And then, yeah, so I should talk to her about that again. So as I watch this, because like when I saw, it's like, oh, Brie Larson's a movie. Who's she playing? Who's this? I realized I don't know who Princess Rosalina is. And as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, oh, crap. Okay. Wow, that's Princess. What? Wait, and I think it's like, how do I not know about this character and her connection to the franchise? When did she first appear? I just looked up 2007. I was like, okay, that's a fairly recent thing. For me, it feels like a recent thing. So yes, we're talking. It's a recent thing. We're talking like almost 20 years, right? And I'm like, no, that's a recent thing. She's a new character. How old am I, man? To me, it feels like this is a brand new character. Just got like no history. But yeah, so apparently, reading into this, she first appeared in Super Mario Galaxy, which people were saying is like one of the greatest video games of all time. How have I never played this game? Do I even have the right to be talking about this movie if I've never even played that? But I played Super Mario 64, and what was a GameCube Mario? Super Mario GameCube? No, I'm not going to look it up, but I like that game too. It's so much fun. So yeah, and then there's like some other things. I'm like, wait, who's that? That's Shy Guy, right? Who's this? Yeah, because I think I've only played like Super Mario like 1, 2, that maybe 3. Or maybe it was only 2. Maybe I got 3 and I didn't play very much of that. I don't know. So do I need to talk about it? I don't want to spoil things for the movie. You're going to watch it. But basically, Bowser Jr., he's mad that Bowser's kidnapped, or not kidnapped, he's locked up. He got shrunk and whatever, depowered. And so he wants to to save his dad, and he wants to show his dad that has what it takes to whatever step it. You follow his line, so he kidnaps Princess Rosalina, and there's reasons for that, and she's very powerful and stuff, and then the Princess Rosa, her children, quote unquote children, are the stars, like, and so they make their way to the Princess Peach's kingdom, and they're like, you need to help save my mom or whatever, and then so she decides to go off without telling Mario, because Mario's like, you got to be careful, you can't do whatever, and then he goes after, so then they all get involved, and then we got Star Fox showing up and all this stuff. So there's, like I said, there's some cool moments. The graphics are cool, but it didn't seem like as cool as the first one. And you would think it's like, the second time around they're going to make improvements. They've learned from some things, and it kind of wasn't as. Again, I haven't watched the first one since it came out. When was the first one? It feels like the first one was 2023, so like 3 years ago. But okay, so I watched the Screen X performance, and here's the thing: when I was watching, I don't know if I should do Screen X anymore. I mean, it's cool. There's probably gonna be like that FOMO thing. It's like, oh, what am I missing on the side? You're not really missing that much. It's just expanding the stuff. And every once in a while, I would kind of look and be like, oh, cool. There's like other things floating out there, or this or that or whatever. It's like, okay, great. As I was watching, because there was a decent amount, the theater wasn't like sold out or packed, because I went on a Wednesday night. And the theater had like, I kind of wish I would have seen a 3D version, because I loved 3D. But I was like, no, I need to see what's on the sides. I can't miss it. I can't never know what's on the side screens. So they, the theater I went to, they had the Screen X theater. They had some 3D showings. They had regular showings and stuff like that. So when I went, there's a little kid close to me, like off to the side with his parents, his family or whatever. And when the Screen X first started, I could hear him like, ooh. And there's times. So this is why I'm looking at first. I'm like, oh man, I got this kid next, close by, a seat away, and I'm gonna have to listen to him. And there's like stuff. But then I'm trying to like, dude, Tony, like, calm down. It's like, here's a little kid. He's like giggling at stuff. He's having a good time, and that's the point of these movies. So, as much as I'm gonna be poo-pooing about this or whatever, the kids are gonna like the movie, and we need the kids to know who Super Mario is, and buy the games and play the games or whatever to keep things going. But I could hear him, he really he thought the Screen X was cool from that first moment. Did he appreciate it, notice it throughout the movie? I don't know. I feel Project Hail Mary utilized the Screen X more, like, better. It was more noticeabler than the Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie. It was cool, not like crucial as whatever. I would say Project Hail Mary should be seen in Screen X. Super Mario Brothers Galaxy movie, if you can, and if you care, if you want to spend that money. But he seemed to have a good time, and he was happy with the movie. It sounded like he was excited and stuff like that. So there you go. I mean, but it's 42% critics. But what this isn't a movie. This isn't a movie made for the critics. So if we look at some of these things, Kermodo and Mayo's Take, which is like a YouTube interview thing, I guess, they said it's not good. So I'm looking at the reviews on Rotten Tomato. San Jose Mercury News, it gets tiring. Returning directors hit us with one action rush after another that never allow any of their characters room to breathe or come to life. New York Magazine, Vulture, Super Mario. Oh, there's no brothers in town. Super Mario Galaxy movie has unfortunately,
has, unfortunately, is the messianic fervor. I don't even know what that's saying. In review online, objectively impressive at a technical level, but why does it exist? The answer is quite simple: fan service. Nintendo sees this clearly and also sees through it. Dollar signs in their eyes. Yes. New Herald, Willoughby, Ohio. About a third of the way through it, we wished there was a reset button. Okay, haha, video game joke, but yes. Audience reviews. Gabriel, 3 out of 5. It was good, just really fast. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. Andrea, my sons enjoyed the movie. Okay. Jake, great movie. 5 of 5 stars. I was very impressed with the movie. It kept me glued to the screen from the beginning to end. Johnny also gives it 5 out of 5. There's a lot of 5, or here's a 4.5. It was, okay, Adrio D gave it a 4.5 stars out of 5. It says, it was okay, about same as first. It was okay, but I'm giving it a near perfect score. Okay, yeah, so whatever. I don't know, but like I said, and again, I bought the movie. I pre-ordered. I could cancel. I think I can still cancel my pre-order. I pre-ordered the movie, and I bought the first one, even though I haven't had any desire to watch it again. Maybe I should. Maybe I should try it again. I don't know. I want these movies to be cool and awesome and fun, but it's just. And again, the directors, I love the directors. They're great. But there's something about the movie just was lacking. And I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. See, written by Matthew Fogel. Not sure what he's done, whatever. But, man, so it's just... It's sad. It bums me out, but there you go. So should you see it? I mean, if you just like Super Mario Brothers, you should see it. It's worth seeing on a big screen because there are cool moments, there are cool graphics, but just know it's not going to get an Academy Award for Best Picture, Best Screenplay, or whatever. So if you like Mario Brothers, you should see it. If you don't care about them, or if you're just okay, then don't. You're not going to miss anything, and it might not. Who is this for? I don't know if is it just for the younger audience? Maybe. And I'm not trying to insult the younger audience, and by younger, I'm not just saying kids. I don't know, but I feel like it could have been better. But maybe that's the tricky part, is like trying to make this movie appeal to the little tiny kids, and to people like my age who have been playing since the first one, where you can't give it too much substance, because then the little kids are going to get bored if there's just so much prose or whatever, narrative and stuff like that. So they want the quick action, and they want the quick the jokes and the moments, but. I don't know. Where's that fine line? But it was just, yeah. So Super Mario Galaxy movie. It was fine. Someday I'll watch it again. Maybe I'm going to be owning it. So I want more. I wish I liked it more than that. So there you go. That is going to be it. Again, I've seen worse movies, I guess I should say. But I'm just disappointed because I wish it was better. But that is going to be it for this week. So big thanks to Andrew Loken. He is a big supporter of the show. You can be a supporter by going to patreon.com/gmanfromheck. Any amount you can commit to will be awesome. If you commit at the Rick Jones tier or higher, you get access to the Secret Podcast from Heck, which is an additional 30 minutes of podcast entertainment every single week. Been doing the Silver Age, DC Silver Age lookbacks, Superman and Lois Lane. Maybe I feel like I should do Batman again, just because doing although I haven't done a Jimmy Olsen one, maybe I should do a Jimmy Olsen one because those are fun. So okay, so this week maybe be Jimmy Olsen or Batman. I don't know. We'll have to see what I should. Yeah, I got to dig out some of these old comics that I bought at conventions. But if you can't commit to a monthly commitment, you can also help out by going to coffee.com/gmanfromheck. You can buy me a virtual cup of coffee or 3. That is ko-fi.com/gmanfromheck. What is going to be next week? So next week we're going to have obviously Daredevil and Monarch. I don't know about, because we have Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, whatever that starts up. But the problem is there's 2 episodes. So I mean that's only like an hour, but I don't know if I want to commit to that. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, I might have time. Hopefully I'll have time. And I feel like something else. Oh, because then I think The Boys might start up next week too. So that's a lot. I feel like having 2 shows like has been good, because I don't want these shows to be too long, because I don't think people have time for that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Again, feedback would be nice. Do you want the longer? Because I still feel like sometimes people are just listening to the movie section, or maybe they do I don't know, because since the numbers aren't consistent, it's not like I always have X listeners or X downloads. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower, sometimes the other ones catch up and they do whatever. So I feel like people must not necessarily, and this is why I say it's like, do I still do TV shows? And because I don't know if people are necessarily tuning in week after week after week, every single week for the shows. Maybe some people are. Maybe the core people are listening to that. I have no idea. But that's too many shows at once. And I know it's like, well, maybe I wait and I do like Maul later, or I start with The Boys later. But then I don't know if people are going to care about it. It's like, do you want to hear something that's been out for a while? I don't know. It's decisions. I need someone to make these decisions for me. As far as a movie, I don't know. I am 99.8% sure it is not going to be Exit 8. I really wanted to see Exit 8. I kept checking like local theaters. I was like, nope, they don't have it. I'm like, what are the Thursday night whatever preview show, what's coming up, and it's like Exit 8's not there. Are they even going to get it? So I went to Fandango or the Fandango app. I searched Exit 8, and the closest one is in the city at the Kabuki Theater, and I was like, I don't want to drive in the city, especially just to see a movie. Because it's just driving there takes so long, traffic, crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, worrying about is Godzilla going to attack, and then paying for finding where am I going to park? Is there a good parking garage, or am I going to get street parking? How much is it going to cost me? So I don't think I'm going to be watching Exit 8, which really bums me out. But then what's going to be the movie feature? So I could probably do They Will Kill You. Even though some people, I've heard from 2 people. One person said they did not like it. The other person said it was pretty solid. I am also going to see a movie. One of the theaters they do these like occasionally they'll do like a $5 mystery movie for like an upcoming movie. Pay $5. You don't have no idea what it is, so you're taking a gamble. It's only going to cost you $5. $5 isn't much. All they'll tell you the genre, the rating, and they usually have the runtime listed. One time when I was like, I'm trying to figure out what it was. I forget if it was either PG or PG-13 rating, and they had the runtime. And I looked at like what's coming up soon. And I don't think, at first I thought it was Zootopia 2. It might have been Bad Guys 2. Maybe it was Zootopia 2, because I don't think it was that long. When did Bad Guys 2 come out? Was that a while ago, or was that like 2025? I don't know. But I think, pretty sure that's what, as I was looking at. So it's supposed to be a horror movie coming out. And I was like, what horror movies do we have? Well, we have The Mummy, but that has a longer run, because I think the runtime is like an hour and 50 minutes or something like that. So I'm like, what could this be? It's not that. And so I don't know. I haven't been able to figure it out, like what's coming up. And I mean, the hour and 50 that I have in my head, I mean, that could be wrong.
like whatever was listed. So now here's my other dilemma. If there's some movie, like let's say it was The Mummy or it was like some big movie, I don't know if I should talk about it next week. I would think there'd be some sort of embargo, but I don't know if they're, it's not like they're going to make the whole theater sign NDAs. But then, like, if I were to talk about it, let's say it was a movie like that, then what happens when the week that the movie releases wide, I got nothing to talk about. So it might be They Will Kill You, because I do want to see it, because, I mean, it does look like, Zazie Beetz is going to kick some butt. Is it Zazie Beetz? I don't. Every time I say it, it's like that doesn't sound right. I hope it's right. So I don't know, but we'll see. I got some time to think about it. Actually, not that much time, because I need to start planning. But that is going to be it for this week. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourself. And I hope you're finding time to do fun things. And I hope you remember, it's me. Be good to each other.